Hallelujah. Giving, hallelujah. Giving the highest praise. Hallelujah. Giving the highest praise. Hallelujah. Giving the highest praise. In the morning when I wake up, in the night when I wake up, I will lift up my voice to heaven and give you the highest praise. Hallelujah to my King. Hallelujah to my Father. Hallelujah to my Jesus. I bow before the throne. When I look at all the wonder and I see all the creation, the beauty of the universe, you never change. You never lie. You never change. You never change. Hallelujah to my Jesus. Hallelujah. 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 Giving, hallelujah. Giving the highest praise. Hallelujah. Giving the highest praise. Hallelujah. Giving the highest praise.
Hey, come let's pray, Jehovah. Come let's worship Jehovah. He deserves the praise. Come let's praise Him. He deserves everything. Oh, the worshiping. Oh, He gave me life. I will praise His name. I'm here to praise my God. Oh, because He gave me life. Come celebrate, come jubilate, come and worship Him. He deserves the praise. Hallelujah, giving the higher praise. Hallelujah, giving the higher praise.
Hallelujah, giving the higher giving. Hallelujah, giving the highest praise. Hallelujah, giving the highest praise. Yeah. Hallelujah, giving the highest praise.
All right, folks, we want to welcome you to this evening broadcast. This is Lpr-Tv special forum here. We're going to be talking to a group of Liberians trying to champion the cause of what are considered a war crime code. Very consequential and controversial that has divided the house of politics in Liberia. We're going to be taking on some painful conversation here this evening. The viewer descriptions is advice because potentially we're going to be calling some names here as well. So stay tuned. Just invite someone at your company. We say Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, belated one. We never had a chance to have this conversation. Welcome. I'm Afonso Zienso of the Liberia Public Radio and Lpr-Tv. All right, that's a beautiful music there, gospel song there from Monique. Let me just stop that here. Again, welcome. I want to welcome our viewers and listeners right here, as usual. Liberia Public Radio partners with another media institutions. That's more like print media. That's the African Star News outlet. A very long, outstanding relationship with us and the African Star newspaper. So there is a commentary here. We will try to bring that commentary into place. Some of our guests are here, but we're going to have this commentary and we will get right down to the issue. We'll get a lot at stake this evening, believe me. We're going to ask all of the tough questions. If for any reason the question is uncomfortable, it is at your own volition if you choose not to answer it. But let's go to this commentary here, courtesy of the African Star newspaper. I am Afonso Zienso. Do me a favor, you can share, you can invite person at your company, and we can get it going. Stay tuned.
Here's a news commentary entitled Liberia: Concrete Fiscal Policies Are Essential in Stabilizing the Decline of the Economy. The challenges of a chronically deteriorating economic climate, including the vexing liquidity crunch, are exposing the ill-prepared and unqualified financial management and governance team of the government of Liberia. African Star is concerned how economically traumatized citizens in a West African country are witnessing the near surrender of the central bank, the Ministry of Finance, and State House, the Executive Mansion, to the prevailing lack of banknotes for the conduct of business and commerce in the country. We are not the least surprised how over the weekend, Presidential aide Mr. Nathaniel McGill warned of the worsening financial situation in Liberia, saying, quote, "Soon, citizens will not find their own country currency to use if new banknotes are not printed," unquote. In a press statement on Wednesday, December 23, 2020, the Central Bank of Liberia admitted that the authorities of the bank are fully aware of the current liquidity pressure in the banking system, particularly the limited supply of Liberian dollars. The release added that it is, however, worth noting that the pressure on the Liberian dollar this year is unusual and can be attributed to the increased demand for Liberian dollars over time, which has been exacerbated by COVID-19. We are reminded that in its effort to preempt this seasonal pressure, the central bank in 2019 forecasted the printing of 7.5 billion Liberian dollars based on its analysis, but was authorized to print only 4 billion Liberian dollars. This amount, which was brought into the country in July this year, was inadequate to replace the number of mutilated banknotes and at the same time meet the liquidity demand in the banking system. In spite of this constraint, the central bank has been strategically infusing 4 billion Liberian dollars through commercial banks, with substantial amounts already infused into circulation, the bank said. The central bank claimed at the time the request to print the 7.5 billion Liberian dollars was to remove mutilated Liberian banknotes, while at the same time stabilizing the liquidity challenges in the country. Interestingly, corruption, mismanagement, and mistrust between government functionaries, especially the national legislature and the Central Bank of Liberia, are nothing new. The issue of replacing mutilated Liberian dollars banknotes continue to defy credibility and accounting questions. For example, a 25 million United States dollars mop-up exercise brought into question the integrity and competencies of Finance Minister Samuel Twe, along with senior central bank executives and leading cabinet members who were indicted in the General Auditing Report. On May 16, 2019, African Star reported that based on the Liberian General Auditing Report, several dubious financial transactions characterized the 25 million United States dollar exercise. For instance, the 25 million United States dollars, 15 entities received over 491,000 United States dollars, but denied that they participated in the exercise. Another 27 entities received nearly 703,000 United States dollars, but were not registered with Liberia's business registry. Also, 52 entities received nearly 1.1 million United States dollars, but refused to respond to calls and text messages from auditors to confirm receipt of the money. In addition, 8 entities recorded in the CBO records as receiving over 163,000 United States dollars were not in operation when the auditors visited them. It is obvious that Liberia has no comprehensive economic policy or implementation strategy to anticipate liquidity issues, but boasts of an economic team which, in the view of many, lacks experience, training, and strategic thinking to ably address the economic malaise. The easy explanation for the declining, difficult, and chronic economic climate is often blamed on global pressures and COVID-19 pandemic. But where are the 4 billion Liberian dollar banknotes? More concerning is that neither the governor of the central bank, Aloysius Tarlu, nor the Minister of Finance and Planning, Samuel Twe, can offer explanations of the individual role, plans, and strategies of their entities in the resolution of the liquidity issue. Also disturbing is the fact that the president of Liberia does not even speak to Liberians, except in a church setting and on less exigent matters. African Star is also alarmed by the solution being offered by the so-called government financial experts in Liberia, which is to print more banknotes. But sound fiscal policies would frown on the ill-advised practice of printing more money to move the economy along. It is obvious that generally, where there is too little money floating the economy, the downside is that prices fall. On the other hand, with no legacy of a robust practice of producing and exporting goods and services, printing money, as has been suggested by the central bank, the Ministry of Finance, and the president, is just as bad. In fact, the plan is to get the national legislature, which returns from break next week, to give legislative backing. We are sadly reminded that mutilated Liberian banknotes did not happen suddenly. The ruling coalition for democratic change government, the CDC, spent 12 years as the main opposition, but did not develop ready-made fiscal plans for the vexing economic issues. While it would be unreasonable to apportion all the blame for the poor economic climate on the CDC, it is equally fair to remind Liberians that they campaigned on promises of improving the lives of Liberians. So and if he has none, then he needs to explicitly state so and be seen seeking international technical assistance to address the situation. The National Legislature on Banking and Finance Committee has a duty to ask hard questions of the governor of the central bank and the Minister of Finance and Planning, and ask to see plans and strategies and explanation for where the 4 billion Liberian dollars went. If the heads of these government entities are unable to satisfactorily answer queries from lawmakers, then we recommend that a non-binding vote of no confidence be taken against the central bank governor and the Minister of Finance
folks,
and Planning.
we're going to be going right to the program here. I'm Afonso Zienso of the Liberia Public Radio and Lpr-Tv. We want to welcome all our viewers and listeners across the globe. That's the commentary there from our partner. That's the African Star News. Welcome you to this consequential and painful discussions. All of my guys, it's going to be a crowded house here this evening. They are all standing by. One of the strong voices in the advocacy business from the Liberian diaspora based in Canada and his folks. They are here. We're going to ask all of the tough questions. Our analysts will be here to say the liberal progressive is all here. It has to do with the civil crisis in Liberia, which political pundits believe over 250 lives were taken away. But one person is being held accountable, not even for Liberia, for neighboring Sierra Leone. Former President Charles Gange Taylor launched an onslaught on the Liberian soil for the first time, and that took the life of over 250 plus. At the end of the day, he left Liberia. He's serving his term to courtesy of international cable wire. Let me take you through here when the former president, now serving term in The Hague, was leaving.
Okay, boys. Charles, good luck. All right. Okay.
There's former President Charles Gange Taylor departing here. Let me bring in my guests. Light is being done here. Like I told you, we're going to have a crowded few here. The Liberal Progressive is in Sacramento. Our analysts are joining us. Those in the advocacy community, Mr. David is joining us from Canada here as well. Let me see here. I'm hearing say no sound. Something to, are you hearing me?
Yes, actually, the video, there was no sound to the video. That's
oh, okay. Well, all right. But I think you are hearing me. I'm sure everybody is getting me loud and clear, correct?
Yeah. Yes, yes.
Okay. All right, folks, gentlemen, lady, we have a lady in the house here. Anna Constant will be a senior contributor here on the Liberia Public Radio. We want to welcome you. A strong voice in this business, Mr. SAVICE is based in Canada with his folks. They are here this evening. Guys, introducing people is something that I'm so lazy doing, but let me just start out there from Kevin on the other side, and then we'll go down. Well, let me start with Ben out there by the Liberal Progressive. I'm not sure whether Ben is a liberal, like you saw he's right there with something too. So, Ben, good evening.
Good evening.
Okay.
Thanks for having me. My name is Benjamin Jonah, Ben, and I am a member of LOJA, which stands for Liberia United for Justice and Accountability. I felt a urge and the need to be a part of this organization because of all of the many things that we have that we experience in the crisis. And when it comes to the issue of justice has no expiration date. So I find it a complete necessary reason to be a part of LOJA.
Okay, great. We're going to do it. Don't worry, we're going to get to the bottom line. So let me come to the chief architect of this crusade, EMMANUEL SAVICE, right there based in Canada. He's also a host of an Informative News Network. My dear brother and friend, good evening and welcome on LPR.
Good evening, Alfonso. Thank you very much. It's an honor to be on your platform. We appreciate the invite, and I want to thank you for bringing the faces of LOJA together. This is one of the first time I've seen my brothers of that fighting for justice on a screen. So thank you for that.
Okay, Mr. Wallace.
Yes.
Wallace,
thank you very much for bringing us together. Yes, can you hear me?
Yeah, go ahead.
I'm getting a little bit of static on my end. I don't know if you guys can hear me clearly.
Very clear.
We're hearing you loud and clear.
I was saying thank you very much for having us on your show tonight. We're very appreciative to have this platform for us to push for our agenda again to the Liberian people. My name is SB Wallace. I'm based in Toronto, Canada. So we have the Canadian crew in the building tonight. And I'm a proud member and executive of LOJA, which is Liberia United for Justice and Accountability. And as a son of Liberia and someone who experienced the war firsthand, like many other Liberians, I felt like it was due diligence not only to those of us who were young boys and girls growing up at the time of the war, but to the next generation, that we have something concrete in our country that would, be in place to hold our public officials accountable, for malpractices within government. So I'm very proud to be a part of this organization and looking forward to all the great things we are set out to accomplish in Liberia.
Okay, thank you. Constance is our own contributor here now. We are happy to have her. We've been long wishing to have voice here to keep a proportional as well. Let me just go to you to briefly introduce yourself, and then I will come down to Kelvin.
Oh, thank you, Alfonso, for having me. Hi, guys. I'm glad to be among you tonight to talk about Liberia. Again, my name is Constance Swendwoku. I'm a Liberian. I hail from Sino County. I'm a proud and strong member of CDC USA. I believe in this institution, and I know this is the right institution. This is the right political party for the Republic of Liberia. So I will be here, I will listen to you, but I would also like to take this time to thank you for the great work that you are doing.
Okay. There you have it. We always bring people here. Kevin, are you there? Okay, hello there, Kevin. Let me see. I think he's up on the other side. Let me get him up here. I'm seeing him on the other side. Okay, Kevin, are you hearing me now?
Yes, I'm hearing you. Can you guys hear
Okay.
me?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. Okay. Yes. Good evening, Mr. Gilmer, and good evening to all my colleagues on here, and to your senior contributor there, as well as your co-host. We are excited to be here to discuss issue as it relates to justice accountability in Liberia. I'm Calvin Yearhart and an executive member of the Liberians United.
Okay. Okay, the liberal progressive Samson Branto is the only liberal on this network here. I'm not sure whether I think he's going to make new friends here. He's very good at that, believe me or not. He's going to take side with somebody here not too long. Of course, our own senior contributor, Professor Ase Lagbo is here. Also, let me see here, Emmons George is positioning in the bike stage here. I'm going to be bringing him very shortly. So we're going to have this discussion. And I said it's going to be a crowded house because it's about Liberia. Alfonso alone can talk it, something can talk it, Emmanuel can talk it. So bringing voices in this house here with the hope to get this here. And believe me, my guys, they're all going to be part of it here. So far, so good. We are here. Let's get rolling. George, are you there?
I'll be joining you later.
Okay, all right. Let me just get you up. I will be monitoring as soon as you're getting.
Hello,
Liberal.
So, good evening. I want to also welcome all of the guests that are on here. We appreciate it. But all we ask is that we be respectful to each one of you, of course. And I know every one of you are much more involved in the Liberian issue than many of us. So we appreciate, especially as young as you are, still you are taking time to invest important time of yours into Liberian issue. That makes me feel real proud. That's also make me feel like the better days of Liberia is ahead of us, because if you don't have the interest of the people, you won't be wasting your time. So I really take my hat off to you guys and say thank you very much. And we hope to have a fruitful discussion here this afternoon.
Okay. Look, nothing is guaranteed. We are talking about country here. We are talking about don't get the premise here. Don't start there with me. Guys, I will appreciate if you can control the background so that our audience can get on course. I know you're Mikey here. We won't start cheering you here. Guys, we have no time to waste. Let's get the ball rolling here. Let me start with Mr. Savage. Again, thank you and your entire crew here. Establish the identity of this body here to me here so we can have a conversation. So what this group is all about? What are you looking for? What are you seeking? What are you getting in this direction?
Thank you there, Alfonso. We want justice in Liberia. That's why we organize Liberians United for Justice and Accountability. So it's LUJA, pronounced as LOJA for short. We want justice everywhere. We want justice for the 250,000 people that die. We want justice in the budget. We want justice for a lot of things that are affecting Liberia as a whole. So we thought it wise to establish this organization back in 2018. We originally registered the organization in Canada, and then we went on to register in the United States, and then also Liberia. So we want to fight for justice under this administration. And if we can't get justice under the administration, we want to continue to the next administration. We don't want 250,000 people to die in vain and politicians enjoy the resources of our country. So justice and accountability is what we are all about there, Alfonso.
Okay, wow. And I told my LPR colleagues, Professor Zaulot, and the rest of the four, don't hesitate to jump in, and all of us here. You quickly went into my playbook here. That was a very smart thing on your side as to wanted to know the status of the organization, what is even registered and all of that. That seems to go with a great man. So, Ben, you're one of those here, regular caller here on the Liberia Public Radio. War crime, war crime, war crime. Is it realistic? Is it approachable? Can we get that done in Liberia, and how?
Yes, we can get it done. And if for any reason we are not able to have this to be possible, what is happening in Liberia now will continue. Most people have not read the TRC. The TRC is the way forward. I mean, if anybody's read the TRC, the first thing you will see in that document, it tells you the reason why the war started. What are some of the things that caused the war? And the TRC make recommendations. Some of those things was greed, poverty, corruption. These are the same things that are happening now. Right now, as we speak, those things have not been solved. So as a result of not following the recommendation from the TRC, we are right where we are now to the Civil War. And if this thing is not taken care of, we could go back to where we came from. It is upon every Liberian that we make sure we get the TRC and use it as a tool. There are so many good things in that document. We might not be able to use everything, but it shows us the way in which we can achieve this goal that we all want. So the TRC is the way forward.
Okay. Before, like I said, something, Professor Emmanuel and Wallace, is that a consensus of this organization? TRC is the way forward, or is it sort of stand alone? Is that the approach this group is taking?
Okay, I thought the question was for Mr. Benedict Wallace. I heard my name as well, but I'm going to go ahead and maybe my brother can buttress me in there. Actually, no. But we love the document. The document calls for justice. Document calls for accountability. And if you just listen to what my fellow Logan, Ben had to say, the document is approachable. The document is a working document. The document states that we do war and economic crimes court. The document talks about dual citizenship. The document talks about land. The document talks about wage disparity. The document talks about the reason why war came to Liberia. The reason why war came to Liberia was because of economic crimes. We're still experiencing these things today. And what we decided when we got together is the fact that people seem to just blame the government that is heading Liberia. So, for example, if it's the UP, yeah, UP. If it's CDC, yeah, CDC. That's not how it works in Liberia. We have realized that every political party in Liberia are part of the corruption. It's a culture that they have continued, either through illegal corruption in which they raise their salaries and do nothing for the people. So we definitely want to see the TRC implemented. Even if we can't get everything done, Ben is right. There are important things that we need to pick from that document and use it to better Liberia.
Wallace?
Yeah, just to piggyback on my colleagues, of course the TRC recommendation provide a lot of foundation things that we can look at as far as trying to establish crimes and economic court. But what I also want to get across is the establishment of the war and economic crime court in Liberia is not, our goal is not just to bring to justice those who are
somebody is listening. Somebody listening at the same time playing. If you can just
turn
your money. Yeah, I think much better.
Okay.
Yeah.
So one of the things that we are also aiming at is to ensure that we have an establishment in Liberia that will not only persecute those who have committed these atrocities, but going forward, our organization is not just targeting the now or the present. Our organization is something that we are looking into the future. That go forward, people who have the ambitions to seek public office will understand that there will be no more of malpractices that lead to corruption, no more of atrocities against humanity. So our scope of this whole organization is to ensure that we as a country, as we move forward and progress into the future, that the next generation will have something to look forward to, that we don't continue to do the same things that we've been doing for the past decades, where people see being a politician in Liberia as a way to get rich quickly. So these are the things that we aim to accomplish, and along with the recommendation from the TRC, a lot of other things that are going to come along the way that will help us meet our objectives as Luja.
Kelvin and the liberal professor, like I said, this is a completed national conversation here. As you guys listening, don't hesitate to stop me, and if you have questions for them. Kelvin,
let me come in.
Yeah, go ahead.
Ask some questions here. First of all, gentlemen, and my sister, thanks very much for coming on tonight, and congratulations on the establishment of your organization. I just wanted you to bring some context to your organization here for me.
Thanks.
What is the frame of reference for this war and economic crimes code? Economic crimes code, especially, I'm interested in understanding. Does it start April? Does it start December? What, 29, December 24th, 1989? Or is it going back to 1847? And if it is not going back to 1847, any reason why we can't be investigating war and economic crimes that are committed, since the establishment of our country? I come from a electoral district number 4 in the county, and we bought up gold mining companies. And there are a lot of my ancestors, a lot of my friends and family members who suffered from the environmental degradation that was done in our area. But mind you, the roads to Burma were never paved for so long. They were even paved after the company left. Are we interested in, investigating those periods also, including those periods in this whole economic crime thing?
Let me get my chairman will come in first. This idea that you just put up, I've always heard people say, where do we start from? And then I always say, we are starting from this civil war. But if we are going to start from this civil war, it does not negate any other thing that happened in the past. But the first thing that we want to establish here is that these things happen during our time, and we are trying to put up or into it. So once you can find us, once this is successful, it means other crimes that was 1989 could also be dealt with too. In fact, the TRC did not just start from 1989. It started from 1979. There is some portion of the TRC that even started from independence. I mean, a lot of us have a whole lot of great foundations that happened way probably 100 years ago. What we have a great one now is this recent incident that we all experience. So once you can join us, and once this is successful, we can probably go back to those other crimes. Thank you.
Thank you. Can I come in, please?
Yeah, sure. Go ahead.
Okay, gentlemen, I want to say thank you. I mean, that's a good vision. But I have two questions. First of all, how many counties in Liberia is this organization in operating, functional in Liberia? What is the level of awareness, connectivity with the citizens of these counties? That's one aspect. The second part is the professor just asked that question. But again, Ben, you say you are going to start from 1989. If you are telling me today, December 30th, that you're going to investigate a case without going to the root of the case, but you're only going to investigate the event after the fact, then I kind of little bit, I don't know how you're going to really get your results. What are you going to base your investigation on if you're only going to investigate the event that happened, not going back You're not going to address the historical factor. You're not going to look at the causes that led to this huge thing, but you're only going to look at the aftermath of everything. So you want to put me on par, how you're going to begin with this whole revolution that you're trying to bring up in Liberia.
So if I agree with you that we should start everything in 1847, that means any problem that happens in Liberia should be started from 1847. That's the rationale that you are trying to, so it means if anything that happened in Liberia before it can be investigated, let's go back to 1847. If we ever try that, nothing will be done.
Excuse me, Ben. I'm not saying we're going to go. You said you're going to begin from 1989. And the Civil War did not begin actually in 1989.
And Constance,
if you want to discuss the issue about this whole economic crime that I am not against, but I try to factor in the strategy and the way to approach it. So if you just call it in half and say, you know what, we're going to start from 1989. So then what happened? 1989, what a day. You're going to start from the day the people enter Butuo? Is that what you're telling me? And then what you're going to do about when the people went to the nutrient?
Let me come in there, please. Constance, I think what I heard from my fellow executive was we got to have a starting point. So the TRC is not starting from 1989. As you know, there were 13 men on the pool. And that wasn't 1989. That's 1980. So Ben is saying that we got to have a starting point. So let's say we are not going to start anywhere but somewhere in the 70s. This generation want justice. If the people who are 80, 90 years old and they're dying tomorrow, they're not investigated during their time, we're not saying that's their problem. It's our problem because that's the kind of Liberia we inherited. But this generation wants justice. So we got a document, a working document from the TRC. The TRC did not start from 1990. The TRC did not start from 1989. The TRC documented the crimes by the PRC regime and all of the things that happened after war. So what we are saying, and what my fellow executive in Ben just said, is let's start from somewhere. Let's show that we want it. And then as we are prosecuting and the facts keep coming in, we can keep going back if we can. But just because we don't have a year to point out and say this is where we start means we should deny our people justice, deny everybody justice because they're, and I'm not saying that's what you're saying because I understand your question clearly.
Can I inject something?
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Okay. I am not saying that we can't have a starting point, but we also want to know the people because there is a history, there's a trend in Liberia where a few group of people will go and craft documents and impose it on other people. So let us look, not just look at TRC because those that even came into being that did the TRC government before the TRC. Can you look at when Sawyer came in? When was this thing, or the whole justice thing, if we wanted to say we want to start somewhere, why is it in fact that they did not look at it, even the group that set up the TRC, why is it that Eddie was even allowed to be on our ballots?
Yeah.
So my question here is then, you're not only going to look at your organization, even the TRC is questionable. We want to see who are those who are crafting these documents and imposing it on the Liberian people.
You see, let's assume there was no document. Let's assume there was no TRC, but let's assume also, which is right, that this generation, you and I, know exactly what happened in Liberia during our lifetime. We are aware that the United Nations reported that over 250,000 people died in that country. We are aware. So let's forget the TRC. Let's forget what the TRC recommended. I love the document. But what are we doing as a people? We see warlords that have murdered our people serving as senators. They are serving us as representatives. Some of them president, vice president. We have seen some of the things that these people have done when documented evidences stated that they torture, they rape, the murder, cannibalism, the kind of thing that we have done in that country, we are not just going to rely on the TRC for justice. We need to rely on ourselves and our government. That's why the national legislature play a real huge role. And that's why our organization don't squarely blame the CDC, even though we understand that they are in power and they have power to implement this if the president wanted. We blame every political party out there. The Unity Party has representative at the level of the House, and so is the LP and all of these guys. They are there, even independents, even the great NPP of yesterday, they are there. So what do? This generation, do we sit back and just allow these things to fly because the TRC recommendation was not implemented? Ellen Johnson Sirleaf is walking free. She's winning awards. She's writing her own history. You know what she did to Liberia. And we have a government that don't want to do anything to her. What hope do we have that the next government will want to do something to Ellen Johnson Sirleaf? And this is where LoJack comes in and say, you know what? We're starting this advocacy group. We're going to be strong, continuing the war and economic crimes code message. We keep it alive. We'll keep going until we find a president and our senators and representatives that want to work with us. But we must be able to address past crimes. So like I said, Constance, doesn't matter if it started yesterday or today. We need a starting point. Who knows? When we start, we might just be going full blast because Liberia and Liberians need justice. What happened in Liberia was no fairy tale. It's serious. We cannot make excuses for justice because that's the reason why our country is down today. And we must all fight for justice. I don't care what political party you're part of. You need to fight for justice. I don't care what journalist you are. You need to fight for justice. If you are a Liberian, justice must be very important. And that's why one of our primary focus is to make sure that we can work with people who want justice and accountability. Because if it left with Liberians who want to see Liberia right, we will not allow these people on the ballot. They don't belong there. And that is the fundamental problem we have today.
Okay. Before you come in, I know it's like I said, it's a crowded field, and it is we did it on purpose because we are talking about a sovereign nation, 173. Am I right here? So I think it required a real conference for us to talk and sit and listen to people's views and opinion. So in order to get this done perfect and to get our audience also engaged, if you're not speaking, just control your mic so that way these are very sensitive. Any little thing in the background, it kind of intro in. Lebron, you got your hand all folded here. So we are talking about your country. We are talking about something that is better within Toad Town, as you usually call it. What's your position? Do you have a position on this whole war crime code?
Well, Mr. So, like I said from the beginning, this is very interesting subject matter. First, like I also stated from the beginning, I enjoy seeing young people passionately involved into trying to get Liberia to a specific point, which is Liberians must enjoy justice. They must truly enjoy democracy. And I think the interesting thing as I look at this group here, there are a lot of questions bubbling through my body, all over my mind, tonight, but I have to be very careful and not to inject as much as I would like to. The interesting thing that I see here, Mr. So, is that the fact that they are so passionate about what they're trying to establish and what they want to carry out. I think they also, I hope that they will be mindful of not being dragged into the political Liberian political minefield or Liberian political I call it rabbit hole, where and everything else becomes slippery slope. Where you go, you difficult to get out, and that's what this thing is. The young man stated here that there's so many evidence that they, but they would rather start from the coup. But why was they coup? What happened? Were these people were just people that wanted were they criminal that they decided because of their criminal mind they want to form a specific group in the army and overthrow the government so that they would carry out their criminal activities? What was the reason? Those are the things I think our brothers need to approach this thing here very carefully. Another thing that I also want to point out here very quickly, while we sit here and pretend to be that the Concord country divide is all done, it's not. I strongly believe it still exists. So when you're coming to these kinds of things, and these are kinds of stuff that you have to be frank with each other and be sincere about what it is that you're trying to, because right now it's thought provoking. The people of Liberia, the citizen themselves has to be engaged. They must be clear into this thing here. In as much as these young people are so passionate about this thing, they should rely on our brothers and sisters back home because they are the ones that have the shoes on and they're feeling the pain most of the time. So I'll just sit back and enjoy how they interact with us here tonight.
If I could come in.
This is a
I like to chime in here.
So, George, you coming in?
Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead.
Let me say hello to the panels here. This question is all confronting us. When you talk about war crime code and economic crime code, then people take us back to 1847. What happened then? But the question, what I want to speak here is that we all knew or know what happened in 1847. We had a Southtown War. The frontier force, what they did to their own people, to our own people. We know that. We know all those stuff. But at the time, 250,000 people were not killed. There were mad treatment, economic disparity among the people. That was going on just more born. Professor Zawa Miller case was born man. I come from Bon County. Professor Zawa know the water that water was one time. I mean, nobody could drink it. The mine, there was a landslide from Bon Mine. So the whole way that water. My mother came from up the way, all the pork crops are there were destroyed because of that mine. They hardly got anything for compensation. We get that. We understand that. We understand Fastum. What happened in Fastum? The economic disparity that the people encountered there. We saw all that. We got into 1979. We saw race riot because it was the same injustice. Few group of people were controlling the economy. That led to the rest. We saw that 1980 came. There was a coup. Now, the coup came because all the problems just mentioned. Now, people thought that, okay, now the coup had come. People had taken it out. It's time now for equal distribution of the country resources. What people have some, Congo born road, NATO born soil, they had all those things thinking in Liberia at the time. Now, fast forward, we saw what happened. The coup, the objective was not accomplished. Different things start happening. One group of people start going after another segment of people. That led to the war. Now, according to estimate, 250,000 people got killed, property destroyed, for child labor, all these things happened. TRC, the commission came in, made a report. Now, if people are saying that if we want to go back to 1847, is that justification for what happened from 1989 up to the present? We still seeing this massive looting. It's things that occur abroad that is still happening. So my point here is, I get the people, I feel, I get that argument, but we have to start from somewhere. We have to start from somewhere. And if we say we cannot start from anywhere until we go back to 1847, then I don't think we'll make progress. Today, we are living in our generation where people were victims, some of us, everybody here, directly in that was one without a victim of this situation. Then what happened? You got people, major player of this, those are took part in a crime or whatever, alleged crime, they are on radio, boasting, and telling you, I didn't kill anybody from you. If you think I kill somebody, go and take me a court. If you think I kill somebody, why did you have me on this kind of position on ECOWAS? I'm not here to witch hunt anybody. What I want is transparency. So that's why some of us today are still advocating for this war and economic crime code, because we have to start from somewhere. We have to start from somewhere. So today, we are sitting now in Liberia. Some people cannot get food to eat. But you got a few group of people who are riding luxury car, living a fabulous life. From what? From the resources of the entire country. And there's nobody to question these people. They have become untouchable from government to government. So are people telling us, at the end of the day, so when I take them and kill people, then my reward is to get a higher position in government? Is that what other people are seeing today in Liberia? No, it should not be like that. And if we say we want to move forward, what are the examples that we're going to set? So the next time, nobody can think that you just go, if you get vest and go jump in the bush and kill a whole lot of people, then they say, oh, come be president. We have to start from somewhere. That is why some of us are calling for this war and economic crime. And there are people in Liberia who support it. It's not just few people in the diaspora saying that we want this. There are people, national radio, local radio in Liberia. People want it. People's villages were destroyed. Children were raped. Today's children are living with the effect of that. And these people who did the very crime are today telling those people, you cannot do anything to me. We have to set a deterrent. It is why, for me, I'm one of those who support the war and economic crime code. I have said it. If my brother participated in the war and he can be identified, let him go to court. If the court set him free, fine.
Okay,
today,
let me come.
They are still people from Germany.
Pa Joyce.
The Nazi war crime, they are still prosecuting people. Yugoslavia. Yeah, let me just rest.
Okay.
The land.
So,
okay.
Want to succinct and get strictly to the point. These that are championing the cause, and there are a lot of unanswered questions we need to know here. So, Mr. Savage, and to your team, let me just come back to this point. So I want to make sure then is this group taking the approach of the TRC, or is it a standalone? I found out there was a little divided house after I been know how to structure my follow-up question.
Okay, so I'll let Mr. Wallace elaborate. We see others who fight for justice as partners. So like Mr. George just said that he fight for justice. Those are the people we work with. So the TRC want justice, we work with the TRC. So we're not picking up the TRC document and say this is what we want, but there are things in the TRC document that we like, and we know that it should be implemented. So no, we are not working parallel with the TRC, but we want justice. So if you come out today that you want justice, we work with you.
Just to make sure, Mr. Savage, is it a stand-alone group?
We don't stay alone. We work with other justice groups like the Coalition for Justice. We also work with the Movement for Justice for Liberia. There are other justice group in Liberia that we work with. So we don't stay alone. Anyone who wants war and economic crimes code, we work with you.
Guys have
Mr. So, if I may, let me
the format to work with.
I didn't get that question, Mr. Sion.
What sort of methodology that you're going to use to get to your goal? Because ultimately, you want a justice, you want to code. Do you have the resources? Do you have leaders? Who are you connecting with? Is this people only in Liberia? Have you spoken with the United Nations, for example, the High Commission? Have you made a sort of things like that? Because other than that, that's in our time.
Well, technically, I don't think we are. We've made a lot of contacts in 2018, November 12. We're at the United Nations High Commission office in Liberia. We deliver a petition. We also deliver a petition to the United States government, not once but twice, the European Union. We're rating the ICC. We got a reply from the ICC about what can and can't be done. We also wrote the United Nations, the reply that the government of the Republic of Liberia under George Manneh would have sent them at least a pathway to justice by July 2020. Unfortunately, there is coronavirus. The war is stressed over it, and so there could be a little delay. If our viewers don't know, the CDC government sent a delegation and said that Liberians need reconciliation instead of justice. So that's the problem we have. We want to work with everybody in government, the president, national legislature. We've served them a petition, but not a lot of them are genuine about this because they are the one benefiting from the injustices. You know, the injustices in salaries, the injustices in which you hear a corrupt man telling the next man he's corrupt. These are the things that we face, the challenges. And that's what is so difficult to work with the people that are in the system. However, we are aware that justice is needed. The country is going nowhere. So we formed ourselves into a group and working with other organizations that want justice and with some politicians like Roslyn Swakoko Dennis, the honorable woman, who is a representative. These are people who want justice. They are fighting for it, and we want to work with these people. And that's exactly what we're doing. I'll be glad if Mr. Wallace can elaborate here on the issue.
Okay,
thank you. I just want to say to yes, to my sister Constance and Professor Say, by no means I'm trying to dismiss the points that you guys have made. I think they're valid points as far as where do we start and all those things that happened, you know, back in the from 1847 all the way up to where we are now. For me, I'm going to speak for my generation. And when I say my generation, I'm talking about being an 8-year-old when the war started in 1989. You know, I like to look at things from a practical standpoint because we can argue all we want. I don't want to say argue. Maybe we can disagree, or we want to agree. But let me just bring some practicality into this, right? I've been fortunate enough. I left Liberia right after the April 6th war. By God's grace, you know, I, along with my siblings, we were all able to travel to the U.S. I'm based in Canada. I live in the States. I live in Canada. I've been fortunate, many diasporan Liberians, to travel to different part of the world, see life, you know, in a different format. But let me put this picture for you guys, right? The young boys and girls in Liberia today who are at the age of 19 to say 25, 30. They've never seen the things I had the opportunity to see. Probably will never see these things. They will never get to see the bright lights and go to good schools and meet different people and eat the food that we get to eat and travel to all these different places. Some of them will never get that experience. All these young men and women have known their entire existence on the planet is suffering, severe suffering from not having any opportunity to go to school, for not being able to go down, you know, during Christmas holiday and buy themselves a pair of socks, to not have proper drinking water. When a father or mother gets sick, they go to a hospital bedside, stand right beside and watch them die without having proper care. And I can go on and on. I'm talking about my generation. I just want you to put this into perspective, because I came to Canada as a 13-year-old, and I've had a chance to acquire a formal education, work in healthcare, and do the things that I do. I went to Liberia recently for the first time since I left Liberia. And you know what struck me? Even though I grew up there, you know what struck me? To see young, vibrant boys and girls, my age when I left Liberia, to see them play, walking the street without purpose. And guess who's driving right beside them on the street? The same men and women who were complicit in the war are driving beside an $90,000 car, while these young boys and girls are on the street hopeless. So the whole point about where we start is valid. Yes. I cannot be dismissive towards that. But what we need to realize is there are people who are in government today and who will continue to be in government today.
These people were the same ones who, when I was an 8-year-old boy, when the war started, committed this atrocity, have continued to invest the resources of the country. Today, young women, young boys and girls cannot have an opportunity to see life from a different perspective. Can I wake up in the morning to have a purpose? Do you know what it means? Wake up in the morning to have a purpose. It means everything. I have two daughters of my own, and they wake up. They have something to do. They have school to go to. They're 9 and 7. There are 9-year-old and 7-year-old young kids in Liberia who, at that age, are worrying about where the next meal is going to come from, and I'm worrying about how they're going to go to school. Meanwhile, we have people who committed these crimes that are working in government today, as I'm talking to you, that have electricity in a house 24 hours, proper drinking waters. The kids have been sent abroad to go to school. So when we talk about where to start from, while we're discussing that, these guys are still benefiting, their families are benefiting from the resources while we're trying to figure out where to start from. So let's put that into perspective.
Okay.
As far as the TRC is concerned, Mr. So, look, we understand the TRC recommendation, and if quote me if I'm wrong, but on many occasions, Johnson have said that the TRC recommendation does not say we can have any war crime economic in Liberia. A couple of political officials have said the same thing. So they are now using the TRC recommendation as a way of defending themselves. So I'm not going to say we are staying alone. Yes, we like some of the recommendations with the TRC, but I joined this organization, Luja, because my frame of mind was not only we're going to fight for what's happening now to eradicate these people who are continuing to abuse the country resources that have led boys and women hopeless, but we will establish a foundation for the next generation so that they don't have to experience what my generation experienced. That's what our focus is about.
Mr. So.
Can I come in?
Mr. So.
Yeah, after that,
I think at this point, my liberal inner self can no longer stay silent, and I will try to get myself involved. I've been hearing from the partners, from the group themselves. They keep making reference to people continue to ride big car. People continue to get this. These people have not been adjudicated. They have not been found guilty of anything. How do you know that these people ride big cars? Something to send money for them to buy the car. You don't know these things. So basically, what I'm going to advise is that if you truly want to take this to the level of that, because many of you care for Liberia, and when you speak, you're not speaking because you're jealous. I know that. I can see it. So, but you have to stay away from something like this person or these people when we don't have any clear-cut evidence that certain people are doing X, Y, and Z. There's a Crown Dialect, they have a parliament where they say, your eyes can see the snail, but you don't put your hand to pick the snail. You use the stick to move the leaves around. Even though you know the snail there, the snail moving, but you can't put your hand on it. You use the stick to move the leaf around until you know it's completely clear that it is the snail. You can pick it up. So I think if you guys approach it like this, I think it will be useful, my opinion, than to come and say and take the pundits' behavior. Oh, these people, they're doing it. Let us, those of us that have the platform, we don't mind speculating. But when you're coming out trying to fight for the people of the Republic of Liberia, speculation should not be any part of your conversation, I believe.
Mr. Zio, I beg
to disagree, but
I would like to
come in here. There's a senator in Nima County that makes.
I would like to say something.
That there's a senator in Nima County that I witnessed as a young boy. commit atrocities. I was at Fifth Healing Temple Church. You guys know where Fifth Healing Temple Church is? My mom goes to that church. She's there right now. She relocated to Liberia after my father passed away and moved back home. I was at Fifth Healing Temple Church. Prince Johnson and his boys control all the bush. I witnessed many atrocities. So, with all due respect, Mr. Toe, my comments is merely I'm talking from first-hand experience. I just like to put that.
Okay.
Yes, but
can I come in there, Mr. Toe?
First-hand experience. I agree with you. I mean, every one of us can offer first-hand experience. But if you're, for me, from my perspective, if you're forming a group, the core of that group, the value of that group is to make sure all Liberians deserve and get justice. I think first-hand experience will come when you're called to the stand to testify or to come out and make a statement. Then you can provide first-hand experience. But right now, you're talking for me. Your first-hand experience might not satisfy my first-hand experience. And that's what I think I would suggest. And I'm just suggesting that those kinds of connection separated for now. Those are things you put together as evident.
Can I come in, please?
I'd like to address Mr. Toe on that issue.
That's what I'm suggesting.
So, okay. Constance, I'm sorry there, but I really want to respond to Mr. Zion, if you don't mind.
Yeah, go ahead.
Thank you very much. Mr. Toe, we appreciate your advice, and I know you mean well for Liberia, and we all do, somehow, even if we're part of different political parties with different ideologies. I just listened to Mr. Benedict Wallace talk about people driving cars around $50,000, $60,000, $70,000, $80,000, and I think that prompted your comment about knowing the facts. When we talk about justice, it's not just the people that die. It's not just a civil war. There's a lot of injustice going on in Liberia when it comes to the budget. A lot of injustices. For example, you got senators that are advocates that will go and collect money and come and advocate. Representatives do the same. From the executive to the judiciary to the national legislature, they divide 85% of what the country makes in its totality and divide among themselves. Here is the thing they do that we need justice for. They buy a $50,000 car for Mr. Zion, who is a senator, and tell him use it for 3 years. After 3 years, you got a fresh car or cloth. You come and pay $2,000, the car is yours, and the government is responsible to buy you another $50,000. That's injustice. When people don't have room, when people got no hospitals to go to. Just today, as I speak to you, my brother-in-law or my uncle-in-law fell off and dropped from a stroke. No bed at JFK. But guess what? You got 103 lawmakers driving cars for 3 years with $50,000 each, and you got to come back after 3 years and buy them cars. We who live in the United States of America and other parts of the diaspora, we pay for our cars and drive for 6-7 years. And these people who don't even go to work Tuesday and Thursday is nothing but jealousy. Is the fact that injustice is in the budget. So I totally agree with my fellow Lodge executive, Mr. Benedict Wallace, that we need to check these people. If the budget cannot reach the people, there's injustice. If we cannot cut our foot to our measurement, then there's a reason why we need to consider that justice is not just because 250,000 people died. It's because of the distribution of the national purse, in which the legislature is solely responsible because they sign it into law after the executive submitted. So as Lodging, we don't believe that it's just the CBC. We believe it's everyone of them. So there's this bubble that they find themselves in that we consider the party of corruption. If we're not going to accuse them directly, then why are we even an organization if we don't even have the facts? The facts are available. $36 million spent on the national legislature. That's injustice. In 6 years, $106 million spent on the national legislature. That's injustice. But then you have senators and representatives that pretend that they are for the people. Ladies and gentlemen, they just walk away with $18,500 on November 8th, each and every one of them. And no one is excluded. That's the kind of injustice we're talking about. And that is why I agree with Mr. Benedict Wallace that the injustice that's in the budget, in which they have to drive these expensive cars with the kind of budget we have, has to be addressed. And Loja stands to address that.
Okay.
Constant, go ahead.
Yeah, thank you, gentlemen. I see you are visionaries. You have that you're ahead. You are passionate about this. I'm passionate about this. I want to see justice in Liberia. I want to see the wealth distributed equally. But here is the thing. Your strategies, I think you have a little strategy problem right there. We just had an election. And if I'm getting you right, if I'm getting you right, you are fighting for the people. You cannot reach the little Liberian man on this platform. That is why I asked you initially. I'm a physician, I'm a partisan, but it doesn't mean I'm not a Liberian. It doesn't mean I'm ignorant to that of fact. It doesn't mean I do not stand for the truth. I stand for the truth, but I'm committed to my institution. Here's the thing. If you are here, I asked you initially, how many counties are you operating in Liberia? I would like to see everybody. Oh, why am I saying that? You talk about the legislators, you talk about the representatives, they were just elected. So with this kind of passion, with this kind of vision, I would have thought that you will have invested time to reach out to the young people, to reach out to the various community. I can't believe, or I'm a physician, the people in Lofa just elected or man who served as defense minister for 12 consecutive years. Just elected him as senator. You're talking about corruption and you're talking about justice on this platform. I would have thought you would have been in those counties, mobilizing and putting your sweat and blood, making sure, educating the people. Now you see, the people spoke. They said my party was not the person they wanted. They had a legitimate reason. It will be the people that will speak. I can tell you, when the people are ready for change, there is nothing that can stop it. I understand your passion. I understand your strategy, but I don't think this strategy, maybe you have other things you can build on it. But with this strategy, it will not cut it. If you want justice, economic crime code. I don't care who the president is, it's my president who will come. If you do not sell this message to the layman, to the woman in the market, I will say, you know what? No matter what you give me, I don't care about the rest, I don't care about the money. All I want is my children. School will now close in 2 weeks. And then you expect me to go and register my children and go online at the bank and pay maybe $15,000 until the woman in the market with 5 children. I can imagine me having 5 children and I have to pay that money when school opens. But my brother, again, that communication piece, I don't think you are communicating that message right. In order to communicate that message, you will have gone to the people and they will make sure that they are not electing people that are not representing them. If you have Brani Samuka who was just elected over that lady, Brani Samuka who imported liquor, who was, everything for 12 years, that's just one aspect. They elected so many people. So in order, I'm not against your organization. I think it's a good cause. We all can be on the same path. I got people killed. I went through my own trauma. If you are not able to communicate efficiently, if you can't sell this to the Liberian people, it will just be another organization that is registered or non-profit, but you will not yield that result.
I apologize for coming in the way I did, but there's something.
No, that's okay. That's okay.
There's something attempting about your response that I needed to respond as well.
Oh no, that's okay.
I'm not sure what you mean by we're not selling the organization to the little man, because maybe you have not been following.
I've been following.
Okay, if you've been following, we have protested twice in 3 times in Liberia.
Where,
We
in
attended a
Monrovia?
conference in Liberia.
Where?
So we got like 4 appearances in Liberia already since we started.
Where was the protest? Where was the protest? Where was the protest? Just quickly, I'm sorry for interrupting.
Monrovia.
2018, 2019, and 2020.
Where did it take place? Where did it take place? Where?
The communities.
In Montserrat. In Montserrat, we visited the president twice.
Monrovia.
Monrovia.
We visited the president twice.
We served petition twice. On the last time, I was arrested and thrown in prison because we went to give a petition to the president. So it surprises me a lot to hear Constance saying that we're not proceeding the right way. Just as a matter of fact,
Emmanuel, let me come in. I understand I follow you when you were arrested, I follow you, but is that message penetrating or is just the folks in Monrovia? Because I'm from Sino County. Hold on. I'm from Sino County. I am from Sino County. If I went to Sino County today, I'm in touch with the people and I talk about your organization. Will they even listen? Do they even know what you're about? So that's why I'm talking. Sometimes it's good to have this Monrovia thing, but if you, right now, I'm like selling ideas to you, you know.
I agree. And we appreciate it.
It's easier to go to Monrovia and have all those Yano boys, because in Monrovia, every child selling to just jump behind the crowd.
Let me ask you a question.
It's another thing to do UNICEF meeting, to meet people door to door to communicate what you're trying to achieve. It's another thing to call a press conference in Monrovia and put it in the newspaper, and that newspaper will not even go beyond Kakata. That's what I'm saying about the.
You got your point.
Let's see. Hold on 1 second, Professor. Before you come in, let Emmanuel address that you can come in.
Yeah,
thank you, bro. I really appreciate it, Zio.
Yeah.
Constance, it's unfortunate that you're asking us to go in every county when justice should be the priority of the government that you believe in. And it's also unfortunate that you have not recognized that the CDC campaign off the back of War and Economic Crimes Code. They are the one in charge of the national police. So from a law standpoint, I appreciate every young man and woman or women that are part of this organization. Maybe you have not been following. I run the EMMANUEL SAVICE show Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. I'm not always on the internet, usually on the radio. Just today, we had a coordinator appointed in Bapolo. We are in 7 counties. We are growing. It's almost like George Weah came to become president in 2005, he did in 2011, he did in, and then 2017, the people listened to him. We are a growing organization, and we appreciate where we are. Okay. We don't want, sometimes you see a bubble bloom, and then something just get taken, and it looks like people are progressing and they're going places. It doesn't matter if you're voted for or not. Sooner or later, the law decline if there's no reality in what you're preaching. Nobody can argue that justice and accountability is needed for Liberia. So if you accuse us of not proceeding the right way, that's fine. And I can understand the party perspective and the sentiments. But you need to understand that we are working against government, not the people. Why you think the War and Economic Crimes Code were not placed as a referendum, even though it should not be? But I bet you, let them put it up for a referendum and see if any individual in Liberia will vote no to a War and Economic Crimes Code. If it is a consensus, let's try it. The government will not. So you are asking, let's go to Sino County. Where is Sino County representative? Where is this? Where are their senators? They're right in Monrovia. If we can get beaten and placed in jail in Monrovia for campaigning for War and Economic Crimes Code, we probably get killed in Sino. We get killed in Sino where the cameras are not. Look, we are dealing with hardcore criminals from the presidency down to the legislature, past and present. And we cannot sit and just say we don't know that we are placing ourselves in harm's way. We understand that. We want War and Economic Crimes Code for a reason, because we are victims. The country is dying. and we are trying to grow. We don't have the resources. Nobody's supporting us. We support ourselves. And so I give kudos to every young man and woman, even if you're not part of Liberians United for Justice and Accountability, but you are there for justice. I thank you for helping everyone that is for justice. But, we want advices. But if it's party sentiments, then, I understand that, our concern, but it's unfortunate that your government should be responsible to do this. Your government is taking this lightly. And you know what? Unfortunately, it's my government too. So we got to fight the government as much as we can. And then, you know what is even more surprising? And even ahead of us, we are worried about the people coming, the opposition. We got to fight them too. They don't want war in economic crimes code. But I bet you, put it up for a referendum and see whether the people don't want it.
Okay, you measure a very cardinal point. I'm going to come on that, but let me thinking Professor Zablo are coming in, because that's what our going is. Good, you let it out of the bag. Professor, I see you scratching your head.
Yeah.
Where Emmanuel's group, where are they going wrong here?
I think you can see all the level of periphery, infantile understanding of our Liberian social and anthropological system. I find the arguments to be disjointed. I find the arguments to be more in line with to be contrary to our criminal jurisprudence system in Liberia. Our criminal jurisprudence system in Liberia is platform on restoration. In Liberia, the goal and purpose of our criminal justice system is to restore and not to punish. And when the TRC traveled across Liberia, that's what Liberian people told them. Liberian people told them, we want the institutions, we want the structure that will prevent the situation that led us to war. We are interested in making our farms, we're interested in educating our children. We do not have the time to sit down and have something what we call the War and Economic Crimes Code. Because if we put a system that will prevent the recurrence of these things, then we'll live better. That's one of the things I want to put. Another thing I wanted to come to you guys on is that it's interesting, and I think the Liberal Progressive said it here earlier. It's very interesting when you come and characterize the presidency all the way to the bottom as being criminal, when you have absolutely no evidence. The way our criminal justice system works is a person is presumed innocent until they are proven guilty in a court of competent jurisdiction.
Yeah.
How can I say yours? Got to be very careful. When you're already dismissing people as being criminal, you characterize the presidency as being criminal from the presidency down. I don't know whether you really wanted to say it.
I can explain that if you want me to explain. I can explain what I meant.
I don't really need an explanation for that. I find it unfortunate as a person leading this kind of organization to make such a statement. I think it's depressing. But let me also get
I'm sure others out there understand my statement. Don't find it.
That's why organization has not reached which I'm engaged with on a daily basis. And when I talk to my mothers at the market in Kakata, when I talk to my mothers in Laketa Township, when I talk to my mothers in the Lab, all those Bolala Road area, you know what they are concerned about? They are concerned about how to get their kids in school. They are concerned about how they can find meal for their kids the next day. They are concerned about how the roads to their farms can be built so that they can be able to bring their products to the market. They're not thinking about this kind of stuff. So even if the government will put it on the referendum, you know what it would do? They would even ignore it. But let me go off. Let me say another thing. Let me put the last point to this whole thing and close my, and then I can shut up.
Okay.
It's not, the Liberal Progressive, he indicated something to you, and I want you guys to take into consideration seriously. You don't want to fall into the conversation about the indigenous and the American Liberian. You want to be very careful as you move and navigate this thing. I don't think it's necessarily a bad idea to bring people to justice. I agree our system should be restorative instead of punitive, but your timing, your calculation, it says some kind of message. For example, Edward Berry. I don't know whether you guys know Edward Berry. Do you guys know? Have you heard the name of Edward Berry? Anyone of you guys?
Berry, I was in Ethiopia.
No. Mr. George, hold on. Mr. George, hold on. I want you young people to tell me. Did you hear the name of Edward Berry?
No, but I know a lot of people that died. I'm responding. I say mine. 30 seconds here if you ask a question.
Let me finish.
We know other people. Like, we don't have to know.
Every family wants justice. Every family wants justice. Those people in the Dead Mountains in Bond County, where Benjamin J.K. Anderson is said to have gone in and desecrated the shrines, they want justice.
And then why? Why there's no justice?
The people who Saldozo boasted and he killed on his last post on his last visit to the coast to settle dispute. They want justice. So we want justice across the timeline of our country.
And we say fine.
Flawed principles. And we must address those issues. Those issues that form the bedrock of the revolution. And thank God for those 17 brave enlisted men who ended the atrocity in Liberia that was committed for over 133 years. They stop it. And now we got to be very careful about what role they play in history. Denigrating them should not be the case. We should be uplifting them. We should be praising them. We should be commending them for laying the ground for the very democracy that you guys today have the opportunity to speak and question government and call the president a criminal.
I never said that. That's not true. I never said that.
Okay, come here.
I never said that.
Okay, before Luja comes in here. Okay, thank you so much. Before Kevin, you were thinking, Maya. Let me just come here a little bit. Before Luja come in, let me just make this here, because this is the kind of thing we find pleasure talking about, in the sense that they are really critical and national issue, and it brings a lot of openness, people with open minds. So let me just make a new year before I forget. I will talk it up with the board. We will be happy if you can designate somebody to be a regular contributor here or visitor here on this network here. We have this kind of discussion, and let it be open so that people will know. So before you respond to Emmanuel or Kelvin here, does this group has a political intention, or is it holding ties with political institution in Liberia, affiliate, whether individual member, but this member is also part of this here? Because this is why I'll come in 1 second. This is why I kind of really find very interesting, Emmanuel. I have followed your activities a lot. You went for a course, but I see tons of people on the social media claim to be advocates. There are 3 groups of advocates, of course, but I didn't see the kind of support for them to say, let's rally around here. And I see a lot of jobs being trained one another. I see some advocating for their political institution to hold state power. These same very people are embedded within government. They are not doing anything to boot these people out who are not even following the rules of the law, but yet and still they become selective in their justice. This is sort of ridiculous. So let's establish the foundation here. Any of you have any ties with any of the political actors or institutions in Liberia?
Oh, absolutely not, Mr. Sion. I'm glad you asked that question. This is not a political.
I speak and I will say none. 0.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, good. That's what I want to know.
So, okay. Can I address something that the professor said? The professor made.
You go ahead, because I know you want to speak to something. You're in the group. Emmanuel?
Yeah.
Can Ben go ahead?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, Ben, go ahead.
Okay, so the professor made specific reference to the kind of justice that the TRC enlisted. But I think the professor left a lot of stuff out, because the TRC said that while it is true the Palama Hut was another recommendation, they had no power over the Geneva Convention, which is when anybody committed any crime that was against the Geneva Convention, they could not do anything about it, and those people had to face justice. So what is he saying about those crimes? Is he saying that those crimes have to be set up under the Palama Hut? And the answer is no. The answer is no. No, there are certain information that might not be, I don't want to even make a mistake to share with you guys. But we are in constant, we are dealing with the court with the IRC, and we have been getting some good response. So they are selling things, and they are selling things that we know is in the hands of this weird government. It's very easy for them to do. Even, let's say, for the sake of the argument, and this weird government said we are going to go with the Palabra way of solving our problem. We are 3 years now. Can you guys tell me one meeting that the weird government had about the Palabra way? Can you give me one?
Yeah. So then let me ask this question, gentlemen. Let me ask this question because these guys here, I'm looking at the technical aspect and as to how we can move our country forward. We are, and Professor put it there. You put a stigma, you put a label also, that's the government has the authority to go ahead to see whether they can give ahead. What is the relationship of your advocacy? Is the tolerance there to engage the government? Look, Mr. President, then you were senator. This is why you committed yourself to. What's going on now? Why politics is factoring in this sort of critical? Have you gone to that level and yet nothing is being done? Service, Luja?
I don't think the president is available for this kind of discussion. We've tried civilly many times. He's not. But before I do into that, I want to make sure that I'm not misrepresented on this podcast in any way possible. I did not label the president as criminal. I said the president, say the legislature and the judiciary, there are a lot of criminality, starting from the budget. I'm not going to go into it and explain, but you know that the way our resources is divided, or I divided the national purse, there are a lot of criminality in it. You know, senators walking away with what they walk away with, representatives walking what they walk away with. That's not fair. But anyway, to Mr. Zion's question, yeah. When the CDC took over, we acknowledge the government. I just posted something today shared by my brother Kelvin here on the podcast here. About how we were warning President Weah. When everybody believe, or most people believe, that President Weah did not win the elections, we believe he did. And we believe he did free and fairly. And the reason why George Weah was elected was because of the kind of leadership that Ellen Johnson Sirleaf provided. And the history of Ellen Johnson Sirleaf with the Liberian people, just because you wanted to be president. Unfortunately, the CDC has its own plan. When they took over, they never gave chance to look at the TRC. You listen to the president's speech when he went to the United Nations. It sounded like a president that was asking for justice and help. When the president returned, he saw the journalists that are probably Liberians, and they asked him the question, what did the president say? I ain't here to talk about any war crimes court. You know that you don't want one war crime court. Me, I just want the development. The president made a statement like that after he came from the United Nations and gave a powerful statement on justice and accountability. And people started clapping. You know, and I get confused because if you want to be a leader of a country, you got to understand the country's problem. If you campaign off the back of justice and accountability and you abandon them, you got to understand the problem. And let me just say something to you, Constance, and I know you are a CDC my sister, and nothing wrong with it because, you know, at some point we got to have different beneficiaries in the government. So people who are there right now, they're probably not doing anything but benefiting somehow from everywhere. You know, we've seen it with the UP, we've seen it everywhere, and all of the time we see these things. But let's be honest with ourselves. The CDC wants justice. They ask for it. Personally, I sent mobile money $250 US when they were toting casket in Liberia. Now, let me bring you to another point. The president just realized that Ellen Johnson Sirleaf put up a post on Twitter in which she apparently accused him of trying to, you know, light some light and enjoy himself when people are suffering. Well, we also heard the president, the former president do that.
She said,
but you know, when President Weah responded to it, he responded that Robert Sirleaf went away with $10 million and $40 million, and Ellie stole. Did you see the comment
viciously his response?
All of Seditians and Liberians were accusing the president. Why are you not investigating? Why are you not prosecuting? This is exactly what Liberians want. So we see the political play as an advocacy group, and we understand that we in for a big fight. It's not like Loja doesn't recognize the fight that we're into. We're looking at the president in his face, and he doesn't want justice. Look at Buffer Chivas, for example. Buffer Chima campaigned for War and Economic Crimes Court and called Ellen Johnson to leave a criminal. I sat in Buffer Chima's office, and Buffer Chima told me, I don't understand how the legislative work, right? And I listened to Professor George there, when he said, our judicial system work through restorative justice. How is that possible? So you kill me, we're gonna sit in a palaver hut and discuss, and then you say sorry and go. Does that make any sense? It absolutely don't make any sense. And you know what, Professor? If you don't want justice for your family, I want justice for my family. Don't fight me for it. We want justice in Liberia.
Okay, so here is the
deal. We just come in there.
Can I just say something before I lose my train of thought?
Yeah, so
Mr. So, I know Pat George want to come in, but I wanted to disavow a statement that was made by Mr. Savage quickly. The president did not say that Robert Salim took 10 million or so. His words were quite different from that. So please go back and read it again.
I can read it right now for you. Do you want me to read it?
Go ahead and read it. That's what the president said. The president
can be talking about
okay, but
when I get it.
Yeah. Because I have that.
Did not say it happened. What it was.
Okay. Let's go to Wallace. Why, Emmanuel? Because I have that too. Wallace, go ahead. Why are we trying to do that? Wallace, go ahead.
I have a lot of respect for all the people. You guys are very, wise and educated people, and young man like myself. I try to pick the brains and learn as I move on with my life. But I gotta be honest, my mother always taught me to be respectful, speak your mind in a respectful way, and don't try to demean people and what they stand for. But to Professor Zawolo here, you made reference to the young lady, and the young lady wondering where her children next meal is going to come from, or how the children are going to go to school. And then you passionately said Emmanuel called the president a criminal. I know he didn't, because we'll go back later on and rewatch the tape. What disappoints me here is I would like to see that same passion when we talk about that lady worrying about sending children to school and where the next meal is coming from. I would like to see that same passion about how senators are taking home $18,500 a year for 9 consecutive years. We talk about inequality within our society. Where is that same passion? Because when we talk about war and economic codes, we're not just talking about the killings and the burnings of properties and stuff. We're talking about what's happening now. The inequality within our society, that only certain group of people are benefiting from the resources of the country, and that same woman and children don't know where the next meal is going to come from, or she doesn't even know if her kids are going to get a chance to go to school. So for me, I would like to see the same passion generated on all fronts, not just when we talk about President or when we talk about President, the ex-president Salih. This is the thing that kind of discouraged me as a young man when we talk about our issues. When we support who we support, and I'm not saying you support President Weah, but I'm just saying when we support who we support, or when we are affiliated with a certain group or party, and we see the issues, but we tend to play the blind side to that issue because of our loyalty and support. I want to see that same passion, the same passion that we talk about this woman and her children, their meal, the same passion about Emmanuel Savage supposedly saying the president and his cabinet members are criminal. I want to see that same passion when we talk about senators taking $8,000 at home a month for 9 years. Do the math, is almost $2 million. But yet, Mary down the street and her children cannot afford the next meal. So that's what disappointing.
Before you come, I think Pat George, I've not spoken for a little while. Pat George, you want to come in? Then we'll come down. So
yeah. I get the point. I respect everybody's views. But here's the issue here. I go to Bonkan, I go to the village. The village was burned down during the war completely. Was rebuilt by the people. All the one piece of mind. Huh?
Do you know who burned it down?
Oh, some of the command elected the MPFL because they control that area all through all. The lower part of Bongana was controlled by them all through. So elected the MPFL did that. The people ran from it, they had to come to Tulu down to refuge. Okay. I understand my people there, all the one piece, they want to see their children going to school. But how can they see their children going to school or get good cardboard drinking water when the worth of the country is not distributed fairly? When they have been denied those things, how do they benefit from it when there is no equality within the system? Those are injustices that someone speak about because they are not benefiting from the natural resources of the country. But yet, but still, you expect them that all the one, but how do they get it when the service is not being provided for central government? So it is what someone speak about. I get the point. If some individuals say, look, they don't want war and economic crime, it is their business. I agree with them. I don't argue with them. But my point here is because I was victim and other family members are victim, and many people who are victimized, they cannot speak. They cannot speak for themselves. So they expect someone else to play that role. And it is once more our own platform saying we want war and economic crime code. What happened to talk about restoration? How many times the alien government or this government has spoken about restoration? What is the benefit? The TRC is in the TRC document. How many times any government have a meeting to say they know what happened? We gotta get into something, this and that. They talk about reconciliation. How many the alien government? I understand. Ellen should not go to this land because Ellen is also being allegedly accused. So there's no way Ellen would have gone into these things to say she's going to bring justice. No. President, I don't know whether he was financial or what happened, but people believe that he was clean and he's clean. So they expected him to push ahead with something. Nothing has been done from either side. Now you talk about reconciliation. I was directly victim of the situation. You have not spoken to me. How can we reconcile when someone that I'm allegedly accusing doesn't want to talk to me? And that is the criminal justice system. I made allegations. I allege. I can say allege that Frank Johnson killed people. Frank Johnson killed people. George Boley, Ahaki Kuma. That is an allegation I'm making. It will only bring people who go to court. That's how the criminal justice system is wrong. These guys were command and control. Some of them did not do it directly, but they have men under the command. And there's the Maryland Court of Uniform Justice. There's rule for every engagement. And if we are seeing that, these people did not do nothing and we cannot call or we cannot accuse them. The guy today in Kusha, one of the, you remember general the name, he's now facing trial for alleged atrocity he committed in Lofa country. If the government doesn't want to do it, but as an individual or group of people, if we feel that second person in Nigeria committed atrocity against us, we can put that forward. It is our right. It is not right as an individual not to say, you know what, I'm terrified. I'm pleased with what happened here. I moved on with my life. That's fine. I will not question your motive. But at the same time, don't tell me that I do not have the right to speak on this issue. Barry, a young boy in Morovia, when Barry was stranded at Central Street Supermarket by government school, acting a hash brother. That case went to the Supreme Court. James A. Lpr was presiding. Those other people were sent free. And the very day they were sent free, they were flown out of Liberia. The only woman that voted against that, they met, I don't know what, anti-Bolivarian, just a George who voted against that. But James A. Lpr then said, those other people were free. So I know that Barry did in Liberia, and Barry was my countryman. So I followed the Barry as a member growing Morovia. We all follow that case in Morovia. These are some of the things that led to the execution of James A. Pierre. Those are some of the things. Now, 13 people was killed. What they were killed for? Corruption. They didn't talk about human rights abuses, but they talk about rampant corruption. Now, what do we expect? We expected from that point the system would change. But what happened? The system did not change. The very thing they killed people for, it became worse under the regime. So I'm saying, I get every side. People want to defend their political institution, that's fine. But I'm saying, as long as I'm living, I will continue to make the accusation that those who participated, allegedly participated in the killing of Liberians, I want to see justice being brought to Liberia. If you go to court, I always say, if you go to court and you are vindicated by the court, I got nothing against you.
Exactly. Okay, guys, do me a favor before the next person come in here. 30 or 35 more minutes we have to go. I want us to really get to the core issue thing that we really want to talk about. Let us just get it to the point. There's going to be an ongoing conversation here as long as Luja is willing or any other Liberian to have this sort of civil and painful conversation here. Constant.
Yes, I just want to make something clear here, and I just want to speak as a Liberian woman. Maybe associating me with the CDC party, I think is not cutting it right here. So let me speak as a Liberian woman who went through the Civil War. Let me speak as a woman who lived through hell. Let me speak as a woman who, with everything that happened, I see myself as a resilient person. I will not allow my abusers, I will not allow those who torture Liberian women to triumph over me. But here is the thing. When I speak on any platform, I just want to make it clear that even though I'm a seditious, I'm not one of those that will say, even if I see CDC there, I can always say it on every platform. No matter what happens, even if CDC were going down today, I'm going down with CDC. It doesn't mean that I do not see our shortcomings. No, I'm committed to the institution, but I am allowed to speak the fact because I'm an educated person. I'm a free thinker. That's it. Here is what's happening. What I am saying to this group tonight is that you have a cause. I am not in government. My party is in government. But what I am saying is that our democracy allow this to happen. If the people of Liberia say today, we want the court to take its course, we want these people to go to court, it will happen. What I'm saying to you is that you need to sell this idea more, because if the Liberian people really don't buy it, I'm not saying I'm against it. No, it's not what I'm saying because I'm a partisan. No, I acknowledge that. I acknowledge the fact that this is a good. But how are you going to accomplish this goal? And I'm not saying you are not doing more. I acknowledge the fact that you are doing good work. It's a good job. But how can the layman communicate this thing that you're talking about? Because the Liberian people, we have this mentality, this now mentality today. A lot of people don't see beyond their noses. I'm sorry to say. It's about now, is what I'm getting now. How am I going to eat tomorrow? People don't see that in order to have a better life, in order for us to resolve this issue for once and for all, we need to plan and we need to do certain things. People don't see it that way. What people are concerned about is now. That's all I was trying to say. It has nothing to do with my commitment to the party. I am committed to that institution. I am not one of those partisans that will say they see it wrong and they will not speak. But I will speak when I'm with my people. I will be there for us to fix anything that is not good. I don't give up easily. I don't run. They say a man who fights and run away will come and fight another day. I look for the cause, I see it, I try to fix it. I don't back down. But what I'm saying is that you are doing a great job, but you have to communicate that and it left with the people. We saw it. My party we campaign with everything for DeLong, but the people said no. They took DeLong. So if you are able to sell whatever you are doing, the people will decide. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So, okay, let me come in a little bit here. There are a few things here, and I hope Emmanuel and his folks will always be available here as long as they want to, so we can have this here.
For sure.
Mr. Fabi, let me ask this question here. Because all that we are talking about here is in the hands of the politicians, stakeholders,
Correct.
actors. So I am wondering here, like here in the USA here, they have advocacy group in different forms and shape. What is the lobby? They go out there, if they put these people there, and if they are not doing what they should be doing, they go out there and say, vote these people out here. President, non-president, we are committed to this thing here. Everybody knows that. We have a collaborative force right now, and I like to kind of try to forecast to get ahead of the game. I don't want us to be having this sort of obituary conversation. You have Ben and I, the Kumi, all of these people here. We don't know who's going to be on top of their ticket. But if you ask any of these questions and they consistently continue to make political correctness statements, nobody wants to commit to it. Or when they talk, we will talk, these are the kind of anti-rhetorics tactics they are doing. And we have elected another group of people who do not know what they stand on these people here. Correct. It's your group. Are you also interested creating if not a political arm, but people that believes in your ideology and your value, things that you stand for? Because at the end of the day, believe me or not, it is the 103 men and women that will be elected in parliament, if you were to call it. They're going to be the one to bring the executive to board. What happened when the people vote upon it? It means everything going to go in vain. Are you not considering all of these people that are going to be contesting for the presidential bid to make some sort of commitment so that we have something on record? Or we just going to leave it again, just get okay, it's just going to be all around George Weah. It's not only George Weah. These people that are elected, they represent me. Whether I voted for or against, they represent my interests. But they are not noted for that. They don't go to my constituent to discuss these sort of issues here. They get their stuff, and that's all. Are you guys considering now, or we're waiting again after 2023 that will say, we thought maybe Kume Boyka or Benana Yuri or this sort of.
And Mr. Zion, I really do appreciate your question. Honestly, we have sat together as Logans and discussed these issues, and we know what the opposition is up for. We know what the ruling party is up to. We don't have any hope in the opposition. Neither do we have any hope in the ruling party. Our intention is to wake up victims in Liberia. It's not going to happen one day. It's not going to happen 2 days or 3 days. Who knows? If the international community step in today, maybe the president will listen. When victims step in without the international community, maybe the president won't listen. But there is something I want citizens to know. Maybe you think you lost the elections because, DeLong had a good platform. It's a total fallacy. There is no platform. Absolutely none. The only reason why DeLong won the elections is because of what the CDC is not doing. It's not because of what DeLong is doing. Honestly speaking, there is no hope in justice with the opposition. I spoke to Mr. Cummings personally. And when he was in the United States, I was fortunate to ask him a question about war crimes court. His response turned me off. I won't lie to you. I respect Cummings among all the political actors because of his corporate success. He's a Liberian, and I give it to him. But when I spoke to Mr. Cummings and asked him, where do you stand on war and economic crimes court? Mr. Cummings responded and said, Emmanuel is what the Liberian people want. That's what we're going to do. And then I rephrased my question. So if you are president, I want you to speak as president. Do you consider implementing the TRC and bringing war and economic crimes code? Mr. Cummings responded and said again to me that it would be what the Liberian people want. So I deduced from there that it was not a topic that he wanted to venture in. And just like you said, they all want to be politically correct. Why? Because Prince Johnson controls NEMA. So why say war crimes court when you're going to go negotiate with Prince Johnson? But what they don't know is the Liberian people are looking for somebody who is true to what they stand for. Now, here is what's going on. The CDC is losing elections because they promised war and economic crimes court. They promised to investigate and persecute UP that destroy Liberia. Maybe many of you know before I was born, and I see my fathers, my uncles, my big brothers and sisters on the panel, and at the same time listening to me. But during my lifetime, I saw nothing but total destruction from somebody like Ellen Johnson Sirleaf. Now here we are, after 12 years of all of these politics and the CDC in opposition, we finally have a party protecting Ellen. And if you think a lie, and I would like to come back, and I always like to do this, Professor Zaulo. Here's a statement here from President Weah. And please, everybody listening should have their own interpretation, not just the professor. Because according to the professor, the president did not accuse Robert Sirleaf of taking money. But here is what the president said, Mr. Zion. He said, Madam former President, let me refresh your memory about what opulence is. Number one, opulence is when Chevron gives 10 million USD as CSR and you give it to your son to squander. Now, I'll leave you to have your own interpretation. Maybe the professor got an interpretation that's totally abnormal.
Yeah.
And then I go on. He writes again. Opulence is when you have 4 billion in foreign direct investment but leave Liberia in abject squalor and poverty. The president is saying that with 4 billion, we shouldn't have been left there, but because she took the money. Now I'll leave you to do your own interpretation. Then the president went on. Opulence is when you have 11 budget shortfalls in 12 years, and yet spend tens of millions on failed projects like the executive mansion repair fiasco. I want you to underline that word fiasco and read it in context with that sentence. If you don't realize that the president is accusing the former president of taking money and doing something else with it, and at the same time letting us know that she actually spent the money. Now, I'll read the last 2 sentences, and for the benefit of those who are following. The president wrote, opulence is when you spend over $1 million for oil, law consultation, only to bring your high school grandchild to speak to experts. By that, the president means you spend $1 million, you didn't even bring expert, you spent it on your children to come and talk to us. Unless you have an abnormal interpretation. But everybody on this platform will understand. And then he went on, lastly, to say, opulence is when after 12 years of billions of dollars of foreign aid, you still leave the country with $1 billion debt that my government is now paying back. Then the president went on to say, there are 1,000 more examples, but let me leave you with these for now. This is a president recognizing the amount of injustice and corruption in President Sirleaf's government. But what has he done? Let me tell you something, Constance. I love sedition. You know why I do? Because they are grassroots. They are grassroots. They are ordinary people. The people that are let down are not the people serving in government. They are the ordinary people. And like my big brother there said, just on the top there with Alfonso Zio, I'm sorry. I forget your name there.
The Liberal?
The Liberal. I forgot your name there. He said, the Congo and native divide is still in Liberia. We don't recognize that, but it's true. That's 100% statement. That's where the CDC comes in. And the CDC got those grassroots. But you know what? You're losing elections because you abandon justice. You're losing elections because you abandon accountability. So if you are a true citizen, send the message to the president. That is what ordinary people want to see. And if you're not going to do that, you're going to lose to another con artist. And then we're going to continue. And these people don't want justice because even the people that are winning, they don't want justice themselves.
Okay, so Emmanuel, before the professor, 1 minute before you come in here, and I need a definitive answer here. Don't do me like Ellis Coleman did to you. Now, if these people cannot come up with a definitive position where your group also get out there to the Liberian people, because these are the people that when we elect, they don't tell us anything. Will you come out at the end of the day if you realize any of these people in the opposition bloc, like you said, you don't trust them? That's what might say. I don't trust them. I don't believe in them.
Yeah.
All what they are doing is all about themselves. When they get there tomorrow, forget it. Will you come out publicly to denounce and tell the Liberian people, look, you know what? This person, that person is not good for you because he or she does not believe in the cause that we are trying to champion. Will you come out
Yes.
publicly?
And I've said that many times. I criticize the CPP because they got so many corrupt people and warlords. These are people that work with Samuel Johnson by the TRC.
There you go.
Rennie Samuka that has just been committed by the court. And like my sister Constance put it, who responsibility you think it is? Look, I don't believe in the CPP. And why do you think people don't like EMMANUEL SAVICE as a person? Because it's not like we just want to hit people. No. We care about our country. When you look in Liberia and you visit Liberia, I go twice a year and I experience these things. I'm in traffic for 3 hours. You know why? Mr. Benedict, why? That's because somebody took home $18,500 and 103 of them. And do you hear them criticize that? You see budget, like for example, somebody said, let's make 5,000 everybody. Money too much. And then the same person go back and collect 18,500. And they don't
You
want
have to
us to
multiply that by nine years.
I'll tell you, Mr. Zeno, you know when real change will return to Liberia? When diaspora Liberians who are independent, employed away from the government, stand up for justice and accountability. And I believe that time will come. They have stood up for Ellen Johnson Sirleaf. They stood up for George Weah. They stood up for even Dara DeLong. They have never stood up for justice and accountability. And you know what? They even stood up tall for DeLong when he's against dual citizenship. And these are the things that we stand for. The discrimination that is so much in Liberian politics without us not even recognizing that we are harming ourselves. That when people depend on us, we cannot even tell them what we want and what we stand for. These are the problems. So to seditionists, I tell you, you're in power right now. If you don't go after them, let me say something to you just before I let somebody else speak. You've been investigating for 3 years. You got 3 more years. Hey, Prince Johnson is going to go against you, and you're going to regret why you didn't persecute him. You're going to be investigating Ellen Johnson Sirleaf. You're going to make the next presidency in another president, and she's going to start investigating you. And what you didn't do to that con artist, she would do it to you.
Professor Zaula, before I...
Yeah.
Do you see the approach by this group towards the government being unfair or what?
No, I don't think it's unfair. I think they have all rights to do what they are doing. I want to say before I send them misconception out there that I'm not necessarily opposed to what they are doing. I'm interested in them, looking at what they intend to do right now with the hope that we can expand the time frame so we can have all these discussions about the entire history of our country. Because I believe that the injustices of today are rooted in the injustices of yesterday. And if we can have a better understanding of what transpired in the past, we can be better equipped to address the emerging problems of today and the present problem also of today. So that's what I'm going to encourage them to do. Another thing, it's not too important. President Weah's expressions was not a declarative statement. He was making innuendos, he was making inference, and it's left with you to make that conclusion.
I told you politicians are very good to curve and restructure their people.
Yes, but people. He never made a declaration. He never made a declaration. So you can go back and read it, and like you said, you want everybody to go ahead and check it up.
Can I read one and we get your interpretation? Can I read the first one and we get your interpretation?
Mr. Sue.
I read it. Given a declarative statement and a expression like that. But let me also, come up to some of the things we're talking about, and some of the things that some of you guys also spoke about. Look, for those people, I've said it on this platform. I'm a socialist, and the thing that I'm interested in the most is addressing the inequities in society. That's what I've lived for over 40 years of my life. I've been in the vanguard fighting for these things. I can never be dissuaded from not standing for those things. But I have to tell you guys, look, like this broken pedal, and I see some people criticizing it. Look, these kind of battles, if I can give you an advice, has to be won in the heart and minds of Liberian people. No matter how many people in the diaspora who will stand up and clamor for all of these things you are clamoring for, if the people on the ground do not find that to be important, you're not going to succeed. And to be frank with you, I own schools in Liberia. Right now, the concerns of parents is how to pay their children's school fees. It's concerned about how to give the kids a New Year clothing that they not give them for Christmas.
In other words, you're not thinking about war crime and economic crime.
No, they're not. Because it's not important to them for now. Now, excuse me, I'm not saying that. Those
economic crime?
What is it?
That's why they're not paying the school fees, because of economic crime.
Mr. Stowe.
Exactly.
Exactly. And disparity.
Hold on one second.
I did not start in 1979. Economic disparity that started because, for example, in Kakata, a man named Mr. Sherman owns almost half of the land over there. The farmers cannot get the land back to grow their food. They've been denied it for so many years, and they were forced to work on rubber farm for Mr. Sherman, for example.
Is Mr. Sherman in government today?
Those things still exist. The farm is there. Nobody is tapping into the farm. But it's there because it belongs to a family. The indigenous people cannot plant their rice.
It's
cannot plant the cassava
I know
because it don't belong to them.
Okay, let me come in here. Okay, hold on, guys. I think Emmanuel got on the king of the liberal progressive. He's another liberty partisan on this network here. I have my Professor Zawo here. But Samson told not a single day he has never criticized Darius Delon, Nyombli Kanga Lauren. He came out to say that nobody should even contest against Darius Delon. Can you imagine that? Now you say something about the opposition, he ready to speak. Liberal, go ahead.
No, I just want to point out some observation here. And I think this conversation is very, very interesting. And I'm enjoying it, to be honest with you. This is the first time that I see a sedition trying to distance himself.
There you go.
I'm not, Mr. Don't stop.
No, I'm not distancing myself from
Yeah, you did distance yourself.
I'm not distancing myself. I'm committed to that institution.
Go ahead. Let me speak. A sedition. Our sister said, I'm speaking as even though I'm a CDC member, but I'm speaking tonight as a Liberian woman, distancing herself. The professor, as a sedition, failed over more than 2 hours we've been here. He has now come out to declare himself as a sedition tonight. And somebody coming.
I would like to ask a question, please.
So this is what I want to say on a very serious note. This is what I want to say to my brothers that are in this group. One of the things I think Mr. Savage, since he's very, very much aware of it, is that there are more skeptics. And I think you guys are quite aware of that in the Liberian community on these kinds of stuff. Because we're seeing people come and try to use the position in trying to advocate for Liberia. And then they take on a different route. Especially in Mr. Savage's case, where he was branded, so to speak, put a stamp on him by putting him in jail. I can name many people who will speak for the Liberian people. They go to jail, they come from there, they go on different positions. We all know that. And so people are very skeptical. And I hope you will be sympathetic to those people as they express their skepticism in your involvement with this issue, because these are emotional issues. Where do you start? Who do you go for? Who is involved? These are all emotional issues. And so some of us, when we come to these positions, we know you're right. But sometimes we will want to be skeptics. In other words, we want to express ourselves so that we will find out what is happening, what exactly you guys think. One last thing before I take a leave or before I just shut up. I also want to place my age here. I was working on Benson Street at the corner of Benson and Getty Street on Wilmot Stubber father's house as a store boy when we were killed on Center Street. So I was one of the few persons that ran there when the yo-yo started. They used umbrella to try to take the candy out of his mouth, and instead of forcing him to pull it out, they used the tip of the umbrella and pluck it as his Adam, I don't call it Adam apple or whatever apple. You know, the stuff like when you're talking, I can go up and down. I don't know the English. So what? By the way, they used the umbrella to try to take the candy out of his throat, and they killed him. And one of the things, and I think
when you see that with that kind of that's an allegation. They did not show that candy.
I'm just saying what it said. I'm just saying what it said. But one of the reasons, those of us that know the story of people like Lpr being killed, one of the reasons why he was heavily involved and tied to whatever it is that PRC tied into was because of that case. So I just want to, because anybody that said they know about it, people can place their age right away.
Wallace, you had a question, and then Benson. Wallace, are you there?
Yes. I'm going to bring up a few. Let me get mine because I want to get my numbers right. You know, because I'm so fixated on the inequality in Liberia, because for me, I believe the next generation is the future of that country. I think I've had a chance to live in Canada for years, and you see how the government and the country as a whole invest into youth, invest into potential, you know, empower young people to have a purpose, so that by the time they get to early 20s, mid 20s, they already know what they want. But let me just get to this here. Okay, I'm going to do a little calculation here, and I'm sure some of you already have have an idea on what I'm talking about. We talk about the professor made a reference earlier about, you know, I'm not old enough to know, but he made reference earlier about a farm, right? You talk about the farm that was taken away from farmers and all of those things, and I agree. Those are issues that could be looked at. I guess that happened back in the 70s. Let's talk about a young man or a young boy, girl, 15 years old, 16 years old, who has never been outside of their village or Monrovia, for that matter, right? And they're so desperate to go to school, get education, or get a job or some internship, something that will empower them to be productive. Let's look at our standards, right? We say 18.5 each month. Just give me a quick, just bear with me here shortly, okay? 18.5, right? Each month, right? And we say 9 years. So that's 12 months in a year. 9 times 2 is 108, right? So we go here and we do this 18.5 times 108. That's 1.9. That's 1.998 million. Almost, let's round it up to $2 million for 9 years. By the time a senator, how many of them are there? 30 what? 30 or 32?
Correct. 3, yeah.
Right. So 30, you said, right?
Yeah, and then 73 to how you call this? Law?
I'm just going to go just for now. By the time all of them make their money within that 9 years, that's 59 million. That's 59.9 million. Let's round it up to 60 million. Meanwhile, all of our young people, the people who are supposed to be the future of our country, the next generation. We have kids, we have young men and women in our country at the age of 19, 21, have not even passed elementary school. Can't even fully articulate. You know, so when we talk about war crimes court, we're not just talking about what happened in the 60s, in the 70s, in the 80s. We're not dismissing those things, but we're saying if we continue on this trajectory, you think the country is bad now? What do you think it's going to be 15 years from now? What do you think it's going to be 25 years from now if we continue on this trajectory? You know, but meanwhile, we celebrate the Delons of the war, because Delon came and said, hey, look, we all make this kind of money. It's bad for the country. Meanwhile, he's still taking home the same amount. He said it, fine. I appreciate for you bringing that, you know, awareness to that. But what are we doing? I want to see our senators saying, look, let's reduce our term to 4 years.
You know, I work as a pharmaceutical consultant. I don't get a performance appraiser every 9 years on my job. You know, I get evaluated every year on my job. Why is it that they have to go 9 years before anybody can question them? You know, 9 years, when the elections coming up, they start showing up the communities, gave you rice and ore after 9 years. What happened to the previous 8 years? So these are the core issues we're talking about. So while we want to celebrate these guys, let's be honest with ourselves first and say, if my child was in Liberia, if your child, Constance, and any of you guys on the panel, our children were in Liberia, would we want them sitting there being, you know, hopeless with the potential going to waste while a senator makes 30 senator makes $50-60 million in the span of 9 years? And then when that finished, the next group of people come. And let me just say one last thing, because for some reason we have not touched on this tonight. There is a trickle-down effect. You go to Liberia now, all of the young people want to talk about politics. In Ghana, in Nigeria, you see young people in technology, informatics, all these different things. All the young people are talking about politics in Liberia. Do you know why? When I went to Liberia, you know why? Because they saw the guy who was once in the neighborhood that used to eat gari with them in the morning. Now he's dining at Royal Grand Hotel because he got involved in the politics. So the young people now see that the means of being successful, the only means of being successful in Liberia is through politics. So if he made it, regardless of how he made it, I'm trying to come behind him to get my share. And that's not the kind of mentality we want our next generation to have, because the country is going to get worse than what it is today. And this is why I believe, as a young man, for my generation, the things that I experienced and the things that many other young people are experiencing now in Liberia, that holding public officials accountable is the way forward for our country.
Okay, this is what we're going to do. I'm going to ask a little simple question, and then we're going to go around the conference, the table here. And like I said, Mr. Savice, please, anytime your folks, I think we need to be having this sort of civil conversation. So people will understand we need to know the good side. Whether you yourself you have good intent, or is it because of the noise all going on around here, and who knows at the end of the day. Now, to prosecute a war crime, alleged criminal to war crime victim, that's a huge money. We are talking about approximately $37 million. That's not a small money, right?
Right.
Is your organization, what is the transparency? Are you collecting people? People are making contribution? Are you getting money from people out there to help you facilitate this initiative that you are on? And if so, who are those donors? How can we validate? Because the transparency should start from on our feet as well. You agree with that?
I agree. And you know what? We are proud supporters of this organization, Victims of the War. If you go on our Facebook page, we tell you every month how much we got from members, and we tell you how the money is spent. We want to be transparent. We come with clean hands as we seek transparency. So yes, we don't have a donor organization, but victims are chipping in, and we appreciate every one of them efforts.
Is there any country with your conversation to right now, like you said, you're talking to IC? I'm not sure. What have you made a representation at Washington, D.C., for example, these world power? And if so, what actually is their feedback? Is there any? Are you able to get a pro board? Suppose you get people like Prince Johnson, and Prince Johnson say, "I do not have the money to find a lawyer for myself." How are you going to go about to even having to get on? Do you have somebody standing by as a pro bono lawyer to prosecute that? Prince Johnson.
So let's compare our situation with Sierra Leone, because we are no different. Sierra Leone spent about $250 million to prosecute war laws in their country, including our own child stealer. Sierra Leone did not raise a dime. Donors community came together and contributed to what Sierra Leone achieved. But we have to note, it was the legislature, along with the president, that decided that Sierra Leone should go into that direction. And that is why today, money that was contributed through donors help prosecute those who committed crimes. In our case, we don't want that. Legislature don't want that. President don't want that. And that's where we're stuck. It's not because of the money.
Okay. believe me or not, this is a very high core and painful conversation. I'm not sure whether we just want to go at those who, I'm going to come to you, Ben. I'm not sure we are just only focusing on those who give instructions, but it doesn't matter. If I participated in a war, I too must be held accountable, not because Roosevelt Johnson or George Bulley also gave me. I'm not sure whether we have been selective in doing that. Ben, go ahead, make a statement, and then I will go around the table for people to make their closing argument.
Yeah, so they said something about why the people in Nigeria are more concerned about their kids' food. And I'm going to talk a little bit about trauma. When you read the TRC, when you listen to the people who they interview in America, what they wanted is completely different from the people in Ghana, where I was, what they wanted, and the people in Liberia. And what I observed, the closer you are to the trauma, you didn't seem to care much. So what the prof is saying is that he is overlooking what trauma has done to our people. These people saw their children killed. People saw things happen to them. And there are so many ways you can block out your mind when it comes to trauma, and you behave as if it does not exist. That's the reason why some people who saw their child killed will tell you that, you know what, y'all leave that war crime quickly. But when you take your own time to listen to these people, you can know that what they are saying, that there is something wrong, because it is not normal for somebody to see their child killed and say, "Oh, let it be." They interviewed those that were in America. They said war crimes too. Those that were in Ghana, because they were closer to the effect.
Okay, Ben.
Yeah.
The old man on the wall now. No time is not in our favor.
Okay.
So this is what I'm going to do. Like I said, I guarantee, as long as you guys are willing, so we're going to make time. We need to have this conversation. There are a lot of unknowns, and people have the right to know it. Hey, you know, the victims becomes the victor, and the victor becomes the victim. These same politicians yesterday, they guarantee us things they're going to do. So nowadays, I don't even know who is the right person. I don't know who is the angel that is coming to be honest with you. But let's do it this way. The liberal progressive. Liberal.
Yes.
Why are you so quiet this evening here? Usually you always so quiet.
Mr. So, they are talking about war crime and economic crime here. Quote, I got to be careful and make sure what I say here tonight should not be something that will be held against me tomorrow. I have to be careful.
Oh, you've been talking a lot here, right? In the past, you have made a lot of ridiculous statements on this network. You think we don't have you on record as well?
No, but these are the people that will call people on to testify. With your video, they don't matter. I have to be careful what I say here tonight, Mr. So.
Everybody do me a favor. We're going to have a 1 minute each as a wrap up here. You want to go first?
Yes. Thank you, Mr. So, on a very serious note, guys, thank you guys very much. And these are very, very information or conversation that we all need to have, and they're very interesting. And I really appreciate you guys' passion on this. I know many of you, or not even many, all of you are not coming to these kinds of stuff based on jealousy or envious of somebody in different position. I think what you're saying, many of us will say these things and sometimes say it, but not be brave enough to come out and make these kinds of statements. Where you have somebody and you grew up together, the next day, you know, the person in certain position because of that, he's free to have as many things as he wants, whereas his own peers are still suffering and what have you. We see these things in Liberia. So these are things I think you guys trying for Liberians to see it. And my only thing is that I will hope that you people would expect people to criticize and people not to agree with you. I think you guys should do your best to try to convince as many people as possible. You can't do this on your own. You will have to need the support and the willing mind of Liberians, because once they're on board with you, the rest of it is going to be easy, because many of you know this story already. Many of you can explain effectively without any kinds of help. So, but you need the Liberian people to be with you guys. And I hope you people will come back next time. So we'll continue to have these kinds of conversations. Thank you very much for having me, Mr. By the way, I'm having my own show tomorrow. It's going to be about the pro-poor agenda, the seditions. And my question on that pro-poor agenda is, just hold on, Mr. Soul, please. My pro-poor question on this pro-poor agenda is, I still want to know, seriously, is this a fake pro-poor agenda that they put together to for something, or they were very serious? And this is a question that I'm going to continue to ask. Thank you.
Sabe?
Yes, sir.
This is what I go through here every evening when we're on this network. He's supposed to be telling all what his Yombli Kanga Lawrence will be doing for us. He's focusing. This is how they missed the mark.
He's going to be a nice.
Let me just comment 30 seconds on Yombli Kanga. May her husband's soul rest in peace. I've known Mr. Lawrence Kanga for many years. These two people, the wife takes home $20,000. The husband takes home $15,000. $35,000 for almost 12 years.
Darrell never talked about that.
He would never talk about it. Dillon would never talk about it.
Wait a minute. Are we going to
gentlemen?
And you expect me to
gentlemen, you guys are not doing justice to Taros Dillon. No, gentlemen, you guys are not doing justice to Taros Dillon. Mr. So and Sabe, no.
Agree.
Something.
Yes.
Your 1 minute is over.
Yeah, but you can't say my political leader they're taking money out. That's not that. Forget about 1 minute.
Samson, don't worry, I got 1 minute.
Okay, let's have
Samson, don't worry, I got 1 minute.
Okay, thank you. Point.
Yeah, so I was just saying, like, 35,000. Now that's from the Liberty Party. So that's the party that's going to come and take over. Somehow it's possible. And then we expect justice. When I say there is criminality in the budget, at the president office, at the national legislature, and the judiciary, that's what I mean. And it's unfair, and Mr. Zio and every listener, I'm not against any politician. George Weah is a superstar. That's how he gained relevance in Liberian politics. You can't be jealous of it. That's a God-given talent. But when you are in charge of the national purse, we expect you to do different. And you know why the CPP won't do well? Because you guys protect all of their wrongs. Here is a man who say, I only want 5,000 because everybody got to get money. Yet, he takes $18,500, $10,000 in operational funds, and another $8,500 in break. Why? UNESCO has reported that 150,000 children are not in school, and yet the professor says the people are thinking about going to school. These are the issues. These are the injustices that we talk about.
Nobody's going to save Grania this evening here.
And nothing is going to change, because that's the reason why President Weah don't listen. Because the CPP have their own devil and say, let's go for change. And they understand the voters are illiterate. So once they are suffering, they will just make the change.
Okay,
and
this conversation will continue. Let's wrap it all here. Ben, go ahead. 1 minute.
Thank you.
Well, thanks for having me. And I want to say a very big thank you to everybody who was part of the show tonight. I learned from you guys, and I am quite sure you guys knew where I also stand. This issue about justice is not just about Emmanuel Savage, it's about Ben. It's about all of us as Liberians. So if you have any idea, if you have any way, other than what we are doing, that we can bring justice to Liberia, you are welcome. Any way possible you can, please come and join us. You don't have to be a part of the organization, but you can Bring your idea, and we will look into it. You can be from what party? Thanks for having me.
Thank you so much. Okay, you know what, Constant, you will be the last person. You just joined us. We are happy, very much excited to have somebody here. Professor, you want to go? Then I'll go to Pat George. Okay, let me go to Pat George before I mix a few. Pat George.
Yeah. I want to say thank you to the panelists tonight. And Professor Sauer did mention something which about, the land issue. If you look at Moserado, Magiri, Bom, Bassa, Neymar, those are the countries that suffer this land grab in the hands of some of our brothers. But that's why we try to tie this thing to the economic disparity, the economic crime, because all these things, those are factors that brought us to where we were yesterday. So some of us are not in those things. We are considering all these things. Because if we don't consider all these things, then I suppose we are not serious. And the only way we can go forward is by this or economic crime. Because at that point, we will be able to hold people and address issues that this wide disparity or economic disparity in the country. But during the action time, we can't go nowhere. When there's no economic crime to hold people for what they did in the past or present, then I suppose we cannot go forward. So I just want to say this. I know I won't say we all take sides, but I just want to admonish or urge everybody. It's not that some of us are against one group of people. But me, I'm not against one group of people. I'm saying those who participated, whether you are commander or commander at the central post, but there are individuals who know. We know that there's some terrible thing. These individuals, we know that, their names are in documents. They can be printed out. So some of us don't just talk about, because of Kurma, Frank Johnson. Well, no, there were other individuals who did things personally on their own, and they should be held liable. And so these are some people we're talking. I'm not here to go after one group of people. No, I always say those who all that participated must be accountable. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Pat George. Professor Zaulo.
Yeah, okay, first of all, let me just say thank you to Mr. SAVICE, Mr. Joma, and the rest of the team. You guys did a wonderful job. Your composure, your brilliance tonight, I think, as you articulated your vision for this organization, I think was well received. I'm very impressed with your presentation tonight, so thank you very much. We may have a disagree on certain areas, but we're just trying to help you get your message out, by asking the tough questions. I do understand what you guys are speaking about. I'm one person who's more interested in, addressing the issue of injustice in Liberia from 1847. I see some people online calling me an old man going all the way back, but I think that's important. We cannot right the wrongs of today without addressing the wrongs of the past. And so that's my position. I hope to engage you guys in the future, to know the direction of the organization. And if I can be of any help at that time, I would definitely be prepared to do so. So thank you very much for the very warm, decent, polite conversation we have tonight. I was very impressed. Thank you very much.
Okay. Walk about, I can see the man about it. Benson, you came late, so just go ahead, and then I will go to Constant and Emmanuel before we wrap up.
Thank you, Mr. So I came in late, but I've been following you guys from the beginning of your show. I really did not want to come in, but there were some things I even wrote on Facebook and tried to chip in here and there. The approach is good. We really need justice, but the question is, what kind of justice are you guys seeking? Are you seeking retaliatory justice? Or are you seeking justice in a sense of reunification? Because retaliatory justice is different from reconciliatory justice. And depend on which way you flow, you will have supporters. Depend on which way you flow, you will have supporters. So define your role carefully and be able to go after it, looking at, especially when it comes to accountability, look at equity rather than equality, because we are at a crossroad right now in Liberia where we either go to the best or we go to the worst. We either become a country of unity or a country of disunity. Whether we will make more angry people or we make more happy people. There where we are. There where we are. So that's why I love LPR radio. You have to find the balance in your fight. Find the balance. And let's go after that balance. What do you want? What is good for Liberia at this time? Retaliatory or reconciliatory? That's my only advice. That's my only suggestion to you guys tonight.
All right, that's why, and that's one of the reasons I was asking them to establish their political identity, because there are 28 political parties in the country. This is all about power struggle. Okay, Constant, let me just bring you here. First of all, I want to say thank you for your courage of coming here to be one of our contributors. We've been putting it out there. We are open. We want ladies. We want all sides to be represented in the hall. However, we told you, as the saying, responses coming from my media outlet we do not have control over, and that of course you are aware to discuss so hardcore issue. How was your first night so far? Good? Were you
very, very good?
Back?
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. So, for having me on here tonight. Guys, I want to say thank you. I share your vision. You are standing for a cause. Anybody who doesn't have a cause, I mean, there is no need to exist. Oh, I appreciate the work you do, but I will always make it clear I'm a sedition or hardcore sedition, die-hard sedition. It doesn't mean that I will not acknowledge things, I do not see things, but what I'm saying that you have to collaborate. Even with seditions, it's not, this mentality they against us or they versus us. It shouldn't be. It should be everybody issues. Like when I talk to people, women issues comes across party lines. So in order to be successful, all we are saying, you started a good job, you have a vision, you just need to really look at other organizations in Liberia, how far they went, their story of success, and you build on those things and try to be very different so that you can be successful, because you are walking on a fine line here. As you said, you can't give people power who already have money. Are you there? The people already have money, then you give them power, then how are you going to fight them? Then the person wicked, then you give them money, then you give them power. So you have to be very strategic to build, your support, your grassroots support. I think this organization should not just be an organization over there. It should be a grassroots support. And I think if you make it a grassroots organization, you can easily channel, you can easily trample over, a lot of high people. But if it's not a grassroots, if the grassroots cannot buy into what you have a good thing, you say a lot of good things, but you need to sell it to the grassroots.
All right. Okay, thank you so much. It's Constant. Wallace, go ahead. USA 1 minute, not Liberia 1 minute.
Okay, well, again, thanks to all of you guys for being here tonight. I think it was a great discussion. We need to have these kind of conversations. Sometimes it may, get a little uncomfortable, but as long as you have good intention, then that shouldn't be a problem. I think at the end of the day, we all love Liberia and we want to see our country back to prominence. So regardless of how we go about doing it, but I leave here today knowing that there are still people like you out there who want to see, Liberia back to where it's supposed to be. And I hope those who are watching tonight and the many Liberians out there will understand that it's a tough road back. We're gonna have a lot of disagreement to come to that final place that we want to be. And just to my colleagues from Luja, I applaud you guys for all the good work that you do. I know we didn't get the chance to talk about all the other things that we do behind the scene, but just know that our goal here is not to target anyone individually. And I like what Mr. Mason said, the advice that you gave, that our advocacy is not about being retaliatory, but more about coming, getting solutions for the country that will give the country a better future. So we know it's a tough fight ahead, and we're going to take all of your advices and input as we continue with our quest. Like Constance says, we need to have a grassroots on the ground. We do have a Luja Liberian chapter that we communicate with daily, and we're doing the best we can to reach out to all the different corners within the country. And we know it's not going to be easy, with the resources that we have, but we're doing the best we can. And hopefully, as God will have it, more people will come on board and see that this is not about Emmanuel Savage or myself or anybody on this panel, but for our country as a whole. So thank you guys very much.
Okay, thank you so much. Let me leave it that let a big door, and let's kind of wrap it up. Mr. Savage, are you there?
I'm here, Mr. Sion.
Okay, I will have to find time that we want to have one-on-one with you. You are the one that is taking on the course here. There are a lot of unknown questions. I didn't get them out tonight. We'll find time for us to get in the ring here. No match commissioner, no referee, nothing. Who wins it, you get out of the ring. How long do you intend to go with this fight?
As long as I'm alive. Even as an ordinary member of Loja and any other organization that seek justice, as long as I am alive, I'll fight for justice. I stand before you today as a victim of the war. I have brothers and friends, like people like Benedict Wallace, Kelvin Yeaher, Benjamin Jonah. I lost my 3 brothers in the war, my sister, and today I don't have one. My story is such a painful one, and I'm glad God gave me the voice to be able to speak. Many others like me cannot, and that's why we open Loja to everyone. We are not a partisan group. We don't stand for the wrong in government, neither do we stand for the wrong in opposition. We seek retributive justice, where we want the punishment to be proportional to the crime. Sometimes we come across as if we're against politicians, but we're not. We just realize that it is the reason why we fight. It's the reason why we fight. And this is the reason why we understand that there will be most times where we disagree because we're trying to connect, one person to the other.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, sorry about that. That's why we fight, because we try to protect our devil, and the next person try to protect that devil. That is why we form Loja, because we want to look straight into the political system and look at both sides and say, look, this is not right. And I'm glad we're not a political group. We don't support any political.
Let me get. I like to put people on record. Nobody knows what the future holds.
Go ahead.
Savannah is fighting for a just cause.
Yeah.
Anything can happen. Tomorrow, the Liberian people will come back here. Is it possible for any political ambition to factor in at the end of the day? This is what you are doing. We want you to be senator. We want you to be representative of district number 13, district number 20. Who knows? More districts will be created. Do you have any political ambition at the end of the day?
No, and I was petitioned to run in the 2017 elections. I have a whole life here, Mr. Zion, and I wish I can be in Liberia campaigning for justice and accountability and living in Liberia and running for office. I wish I could, but I got my family. I'm a father of 6 children. I've got my businesses here, and I'm a family person. I grew up as a child in the wilderness, and my desire has always been to take care of my family, and this is exactly what I'm implementing. You will not see me in 2023 contesting elections. I will not be on the ballot for senator or representative. Not that I'm saying that maybe I'll be politically inactive forever. However, I don't have any political intention, not at this moment.
If you did, I should denounce that. Because
for 2023, if I show up for 2023 wanting to be a representative or senator, don't believe anything Emmanuel SAVICE said to you.
Great. 30 seconds. Put a cap on the hair before we go.
And I'm just asking all of you, my sister Constance, we're not against the CDC. Fight with us. We want justice. Every ordinary members of the CDC want justice. You know, I really like my big brother in the middle there about what he said about justice and accountability. Mr. Zion, can you help me with his name?
Which one? The liberal or Pat
In the middle, just in the middle.
Yeah, that Amos George.
Okay, Mr. George, thank you very much. I'm inspired by the fact that you want justice because we need folks that are older than us, that saw more than us, to be with us. So we are opening Lodja to everyone. Be a part of our Professor Zaulo. Come on board. You know, we are asking all of you, even Mr. Zion, come on board. We're not against the opposition or against the president. We just want a better Liberia. And we cannot fight for a better Liberia by praising the LP and telling people the CDC is bad. We can't do all of this. That's where Lodja comes in. And we are opening it to grassroots, just the same way CDC was. But this time with a different agenda. We want you to belong to an advocacy group first that want justice before a political party. And Liberians United for Justice and Accountability is definitely open to everyone. So you know what? Contact us and be a part of what we do. We want justice and accountability. It's going to be a fight.
Watch out for the special invitation. That one is going to be an exclusive. What I'm going to note to know how far your strength in terms of if they say Emmanuel SAVICE, get ready today, come to the Netherlands. We are answering your question, whether you have that financial resources and many other things. We're going to be talking about that. Guys, I want to thank you so much, lady, for being part of this program.
Yeah, I fight my battle. Jesus fight my battle. Yeah, I fight my battle. Fight also fight against me. Yeah, I fight my battle. Jesus fight my battle. Yeah, I fight my battle. Fight also fight against me.
We're taking you to Nima County this late hour here with Minister Jimama Walcott. Lord, fight our battle for the Liberia, for better Liberia, for good governance, for good citizenship. We need to root out these bad people. We ourselves will buy here. Before we poke in the eyes of the government, we have to straighten our love as well. I want to thank you so much for sharing this.
You promised to fight it for me, no.
And that's it. He promised to fight it for us. Being the opposition does not mean you have the easy path for you to just get away with it. Everybody know one here, and like I saw somebody doing, of course, we have invited Darryl Zilon, Nyombi Kanga Lawrence, and all of these people, and the invitation is still out there. Thank you so much for being part of today's program. Until then, by God's will, and same time, same station, I will be right back here again with more editions of Informative News Magazine.
My friends are children, but I don't have one, no. What kind of life I live in today, oh? When I read my application, they don't accept it. Papa, fight my battle, fight that depression battle, man. Jehovah, fight my battle, fight the suppression battle. Jesus was love.